So, Abby, you want to explain to me why we're here on a Sunday and not on a Saturday, like we promised?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
There was errands to be ran.
Errands to be ran when you had plans.
You know, you look at the clock, minutes fly by faster than you think.
Yeah. Okay, I see how it is. I see, but Avery was here on time. Avery was
And
here at
now
the...
Avery has $5.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, dude, well,
Okay, that was not at all how I thought that intro was gonna go. But that was not how the script was laid out.
We started somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Well, we were supposed to do this episode yesterday, but we didn't because Avery drove all the way here, out of town, and then I checked my phone and I was like, oh I immediately when I checked my phone I was like, this podcast is not happening today. And I remember Avery was like, well, what if we do this? Like, so Abby texted me. I can probably read what you said because you called me, but I didn't see what you said. And then, or I didn't like see that you called me. And then you're like, Lucas, I completely forgot about the podcast, and I'm in Apple Valley, which is an X amount of distance away from my house. Not close, let's just say that. And I still need to go home and shower. And she says, I could still reschedule if you need, otherwise just find someone else. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? So I was like, find someone else. I was like, okay. And I said, nah, bro, Avery's here right now. Hurry up, bro. You said, I'm literally in Apple Valley. I cannot. I said, what do you mean? I'm in Apple Valley. Why are you in Apple Valley? My mom and I are shopping. Bruh. So then, yeah. So did you do that right after work?
Yeah. I was literally in my shirt.
Okay,
Oh.
do you want me to cut where you work?
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, you went shopping. You completely forgot about the plans we made.
Well, and it was a long day of work. I just had made a lot of money, and I was ready to spend it.
Okay, I see how
said,
it is.
fuck this shit. Like,
She
I'm
pulls out all of her ones. And she's like,
like,
how much for this? I don't know. What do you buy? Shirts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clothing, food.
Yeah, I don't really go. I never really have gone shopping for clothes besides with my parents.
Really?
Like for back to school shit. Not like back to, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
for new clothes.
Like different seasons.
I'm the most cheap motherfucker you'll ever meet. So I'm not gonna spend money on just clothes that I'll wear one in every like 20 days, you know what I mean?
No, clothes are the best. Like, okay.
I'm siding with Abby.
No, I know I'm
Like,
wrong. I know
If you feel good, or like if you're looking good, like you feel good.
No, I'm not. I
This
know.
hoodie was like $7.
Yeah, I know. I fuck with that.
Shit was amazing.
What I'm saying is, I'm saying what I do because it's not what normal people do.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying that I'm being weird in this scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not trying to bully Abby. I'm not trying to bully her.
Well, you should probably be careful because of what happened last time.
Yeah. So the reason that I couldn't have just got someone else is because this is a very specific episode. And because otherwise I would have done this episode without any of both of you because you had COVID last week.
Yeah.
Which is when we're going to do the episode.
My bad.
Yeah.
Glad you made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulled through.
Yeah. You actually, when you were in the last week's episode at the end as the cameo, you were like, could have had COVID or whatever. You weren't in your contagious state.
You, Jack, and Joe all because Joe, I think, ended up taking a test and he was negative. And then, because Jack was more vaxxed and I was like, okay, we didn't really come in that close of contact.
Oh no, I was the furthest away from you, and I got the triple. Well, I didn't get the triple. I got Johnson & Johnson, and then the Pfizer booster.
Wait, you can mix them?
I did.
Yeah, no, you can mix and match,
I
bro.
did Pfizer and
I thought, what? I thought you had to get two of the same.
I don't think so.
I mean, you can, but
I was
she
was like, do you want to do Johnson? Do you want to do Moderna or Pfizer? And I was like, was there a difference? She goes, nope. And I was like, well, then I'll get the Pfizer because that's the main one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got fucked. I was told I was getting Pfizer when I got the first one, and they're like, we're gonna give you the Johnson & Johnson. I was like, I'm not trying to do all that. To quote Jack Dunn, I ain't trying to do all that.
I ain't trying to do all that.
But yeah, because usually if a podcast episode comes out it is very rare that the people that are on that episode are who were supposed to be on the episode.
Really?
It's usually if it's like usually like one person will switch out, like let's say, oh, I call Marcus and Kale for the podcast, and then like Marcus can't do it, and I'll get like Zaruba or something. Obviously that's just an example, you know what I mean? So, but this episode we needed this exact group of people, and it needed to be this week's episode.
Wait, is it like 100 episodes from that episode?
Yeah, because the episode that what we're going to be talking about today was episode 17, and this is episode 117. Because yeah, there's a period of time where Avery, every time I'd ask him to do the podcast, he'd say, "I ain't trying to do all that." He would literally say,
Okay.
he would literally just say,
All right.
he usually people will like lie and they'll be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna be busy that day and next week, or they'll like open like they'll sideswipe me like someone, but I'm not gonna name like, and they annoys me because if they say yes, I can do it, then I don't find other people for the podcast because I know they can do it, and then when the day comes, they're like, yeah, no, I can't do it anymore. It's like, well, now I'm fucked because I don't have anyone for the podcast and it's supposed to come out tomorrow or whatever. Or I
When
want it
is
to come
this
out tomorrow.
supposed to come out?
I don't know. Who cares? Nowadays, I don't care anymore.
It's just because of all the shit that happened on 17, like my mom was like,
Really?
what are you doing? Like, you can't be doing that. And I was like, you don't even know what happened. You haven't listened to the episode.
Yeah.
My mom said the same thing too.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I'm not trying to get calls again.
Yeah. Well, you guys were both on the podcast since that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on the last time I was on was what, 25, the end
Yeah,
of
you were
season
on.
1.
Yeah, you were on the end of season 1,
I have no idea what episode I was on.
54.
Wow.
Damn.
I have all of them memorized.
He's got a record book up in his
Yeah.
head.
Abby's last episode was in like October 2020. So you guys both haven't been on since 2020. So it's been a while for both of
Dang,
you. And
that's-
then last week we got Notch, who hasn't been on since episode 1. So it's been like a bunch of old friends coming back together.
That's why I said that intro was like the funniest shit.
Yeah, with
I've ever
Notch.
seen. Like, if you haven't seen episode 116, just go watch it.
Go watch the first
Notch.
2 minutes of it.
It's so funny, and then watch the last like 2 minutes of it because that's where I come in.
Yeah, because me and Notch were trying to record that intro where he like comes around the stairs and he's like, "I'm back, bitches."
He just
We
kept
tried
laughing.
to do it. Avery was there. We were trying to record it for so long, and he was laughing.
Were you in the podcast?
just at the end.
Yeah,
Like, I like
he was
just
he was in the
appear-
in the back the entire time, and he was like, "Whoa, what the hell? Where am I?" I'm like, "Whoa, Avery, what the fuck? You're supposed to be on the next week's podcast." Because I was gonna go do the podcast with Jack Dunn and Notch, and then Avery was like, "Can I come over?" And I'm like, "Well, no, he's supposed to be on episode 117."
Yeah, cool.
So
They,
I have
they
to-
just told me they were gonna play Mario Kart.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know y'all were recording the podcast.
So then you were like, Jack Dunn was being he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to do this whole podcast. Then like, can we just do 45 minutes?" And I was like, "We could." So then he's like, "Yeah, Avery, come over in like 15 minutes." I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna start the podcast in 15 minutes, Jack." It's the less time you say until Avery comes over is the more he's gonna have to wait in the background while we do the podcast and not talk
Yeah.
or do anything. He's just gonna have to sit on his phone. So that's why I was like, "Yeah, Avery, come over in like 50 minutes." And then I don't remember what ended up. You were there for like a good amount of the time.
I mean, I think I came in when you guys like, I think just first started talking about the camp out, or it was like the second time
Yeah.
you started talking about the camp out.
What the fuck happened to my TV?
That's kind of on me because I just said, does it ever just like turn off?
Wait a minute. Was that in the episode? There's just a big black spot. Did I fuck up the episode?
Go back and see if it does the same thing.
I will. Oh shit, this is gonna be an ass to rewind, isn't it? Maybe I was trying to cut something out and then I like just didn't like move it back to...
Lucas, your
'cause-
face in that.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, Burrow said something that needed to be cut out, and instead of cutting out, instead of moving it back together, I just left the space there.
Big space in there.
All right, well, whatever. It's 2 seconds long. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's kind of funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, whoops.
Whoops.
Yeah.
You don't watch him back?
No, I do in the editing thing.
But like, you haven't watched it this one since?
No,
or-
because then I would have been in the conversation, watched the whole thing when I was editing it, and then watched it another time.
Yeah. that's
So then
true.
I'd be in the conversation 3 times.
Yeah.
Do you remember when like the A Push movie that you had to make?
Yes,
Mhm.
the
project.
Decades
Decades.
Project.
Yeah, the decade, and it had to be like a 20, 30-minute movie or
Yep.
some shit like that.
hmm
I edited that whole thing for our group, and
Uh-huh.
like,
We're
I
all
did
three of us are the
too. I did
editors.
yeah,
too,
you
yeah.
did. So, like, literally watching
I
20 minutes
bawled
of
my eyes out.
footage, like 14 different
Yeah, no,
times.
I was
Like,
going
And putting
I
in
crazy.
was,
sound effects and
oh my God.
I
yeah.
did that. That's back when I was doing everything on my phone too. I'm sure you were using iMovie and stuff too, or no?
Maybe I had my computer at that time.
I was
Mm.
But
using
yeah, I would have been using
Lightroom.
iMovie. But the thing is, um, so I woke up at like 4 a.m. the day it was due because he changed it to like 9 a.m.
Yeah, he changed it. Yeah, he
the
changed
next
it
day.
to
Yeah.
like yeah, yeah.
And so I like was trying to get it uploaded and the upload kept failing because it was just so big, you know?
Hmm.
And so I was
Then
Oh,
you
that's
freaking
what happened to
out.
me
maybe you were
too.
doing.
Uh-huh.
What were you trying to upload it to? Google Drive?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Mm,
probably why.
well, because
What are you supposed to upload it
he
Well, I
to?
was
just
like,
uploaded it to YouTube because
No, I tried that too and it banned it because I used music.
yeah, that's it. I got it was an unlisted video on a YouTube channel. It wasn't my obviously this channel. It was some like my just channel I use. It had 2 subscribers, right? Unlisted video got 12 copyright strikes or something. And it's like, what is the point of that?
see, I didn't even bother with YouTube because I took like clips from old commercials to
Yeah,
use in mine. So I'm like, okay, this is no, not a chance. Like,
yeah. So I was like, yeah, I thought I was like, it's not gonna be able to make money, but who cares? It's a
no.
YouTube channel, 2 subscribers. It
But
couldn't make
yeah,
money
but
anyways. But they
he
banned the video.
he
Yeah, same
wanted
with mine.
everything to be in like one Google Drive place, so then you could watch the rest of your class. Because like
Yeah,
I just remember there was one big file, and then all of them were in there,
yeah,
and you could like click
Yeah.
on it by
yeah,
decade.
yeah.
But oh god, it was just so
But I
bad.
literally woke up the next morning and I like slept in because I spent like the whole day. I think I worked and then I had to go edit the video. And so I submitted like an hour or two before I was due. Like so it wasn't that bad. But I went to bed. I woke up. I slept in the next day. I woke up. I checked my phone, and I just had like a million messages from everyone in the group. Like the video's gone. The video's gone. The teacher's pissed. The teacher's pissed. And then like at the bottom, it's like an email from him. He's like, "Hey, I think your Decades project got a copyright strike. Can you like resend it to me?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" So I resent it to him. Obviously, there was no problem because it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
But like everyone in the group was like, I think everyone in the group like had like a slight like we're like maybe Lucas will fuck us over
Yeah.
and not edit it. Yeah.
I just remember like the biggest. Did y'all have this issue too, where you guys were like, "Okay, we don't have enough footage."
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000
Like
percent.
I'm like, bro, I'm in like half of this shit at this point.
We had
Like,
them
Yes.
walking for like 2 minutes
yeah,
just to fill
Just to fill
time
time because we were
with
it's COVID,
music
so
or
we
something.
couldn't do anything.
yeah.
So we
And I
had to
mean, it's
make it.
like I kept like calling all these people, and I'm like, yo, like we need more footage. We need more footage. And like, luckily, some of the members came through. There were
Yeah.
a couple who were slacking, but then yeah, that's why I just had used so much like clips from just other stuff. Probably like a good fourth of my project was just internet stuff that I stole.
Oh no, 1,000% was just taking clips from like music videos and Ronald Reagan speeches and like movies and shit. Me and Henry recreated so many 80s movies in that video.
Yeah, I remember
I
Ours was a
that.
did.
large percentage
I
of
did.
80s movies.
I think we had the '80s too. We did. Yeah, just the whole ending. I just have like a 3-minute portion of just me doing like clips from different movies and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
What was this motion? Was that Star Wars or The
Yeah, that
Shining?
was the Star Wars. I
Okay.
did like the Terminator too,
Yep,
and
yep. We had
uh,
Dom, because he was hanging out with Ethan, he did the Terminator. Dude, the funniest part of the beginning, the funniest part of our Decades project was like the first thing we ever mentioned from the 80s was Ethan has AIDS. Like, he was like, it was him, Isaiah, and Isaiah were doing like this skit, and then he's like, uh, uh, Mr. Hagen, you have AIDS, and then he dies in the part. They gave me the footage, and it was Ethan like on the chair, and he's like, sir, and it was like he instantly died of AIDS, and then he's in because it was supposed to be like flashbacks to the 80s,
yeah.
and we're like doing a Zoom reunion. That was like the plot of the Decades Project for us,
Oh.
and so Ethan is in the thing, and like someone coughed. Like the first thing was like Ethan coughed, and Hallie was like, "Oh, Ethan, do you have the coronavirus?" And Ethan was like, "Nah, bro. Remember in the '80s when I got AIDS?" And then we flashed back to him getting
Did you
AIDS.
guys do this?
He dies
Like, did
with
you look
getting
up?
AIDS.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, and then we played like the little. Yeah, we kept doing that. Like, yeah, that was really funny.
That's fun. Yeah, our first thing we mentioned was birth control. So like,
What decade did you have?
the 60s.
Oh, okay.
I think I see because I was fucking around in Lightworks at the time,
Yeah.
so I could do like a little bit of like editing.
Fancy editing.
So
Yeah.
like I think I come into view and I like sit down at the TV and I just like turn it on, and then it's like I started watching like television, or that was our
Okay.
whole thing. It was like the TV from the 80s, and it was like I would constantly be like flipping through the
Oh,
channels the
I
whole
see.
thing.
That's a cool one.
So then yeah, it was kind of cool because like the camera had it zoom in like into the
Yeah.
TV.
Okay, I see
So
that.
then like that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And your concept was just like flashbacks the whole time.
Yeah.
Ours was the Game of Life because that came out in the 60s. So when we'd spin it, we were actually in our cars driving.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'd spin the board, we'd be in our cars driving to the destination of whatever the thing is.
Oh.
And then like the next person would go. And then like we were all in our cars though driving like one after the other.
Yeah, we all met at the end in that like parking lot by the school where there's like that bottom parking lot where you got to do where you in gym where you do hills.
Yeah.
We
Where
all
there's
went
always
there.
like broken cars. And
Yeah.
stuff.
We all went down there and like our ending was we all met up there and obviously we had Bailey in our group, so So basically during the Zoom call, Bailey had to leave early on the one day we had to record together on the Zoom call. Bailey had to leave. So the plot is Bailey leaves halfway through the Zoom meeting to go play golf or something, and then he comes back at the end, and then we all say, "Hey, let's meet up in person." And then we meet up, and Bailey isn't there because he missed the day again. So we all meet at like our old school, and we're like, we got to do something like to commemorate the 80s or whatever. We're like, where the hell's Bailey, right? So we all go into like the track or whatever, and we all do like the fucking Breakfast Club thing,
Yeah.
and then the credits roll, and then at the end credit scene, it's Bailey at the golf course going, guys, where did everyone go? I had to do some workarounds because there was like in what's the movie called fuck, I'm gonna sound like an idiot. I'm blank on what's the movie with like they got the boom box and they put it over like the guy is like trying to like impress his girl, like you know what I mean, like
Oh, outside of her window?
yeah. Oh my god, we're all gonna sound like
so-
we're so dumb.
I haven't been watching a whole lot of movies, but like I know what you
Is that
I
Say
know what the
Anything, or is that-
scene you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to cut this
I
part out of
only
the
know the
podcast.
scene.
I'm gonna have to cut this part out of the podcast so I can Google it. Hold on.
Wait, why? Just keep it in there so they can hear.
No,
what
because
it
people are
is.
gonna think we're all dumb.
I don't
In
care.
your
I probably haven't
eyes.
even seen it. I've only seen.
Well, nobody's ever watched the fucking movie. They just know about that stupid. Yeah, it is Say Anything. Okay, I was right. So,
So, you're
you know
not dumb.
You know the part where the guy's in the bedroom and the girl is like, or the girl's in the bedroom and the guy's with the boombox. So I just get a clip that they sent to me. They're like, "This is Say Anything. Put it into the video." And it's Izzy, and she has this giant Nerf gun and she's holding it above her. It's like, what the fuck do you expect me to do with that? So I had to edit in like a fucking picture of a boombox where her hands are. I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, yeah, this Nerf gun will pass. This is a boombox.
Yeah, I
That's
was like,
like-
okay,
I
I
literally have
guess.
a
No.
boombox at my
No.
house.
Yeah.
And it's
I
in
do
working
too.
condition. I love it.
One
It's
of the
so
amazing.
cool.
It's got like the mega bass shit too. Yeah, like
I liked it when they were doing like some anti-gun protest and then they still had the Nerf gun. So like I think Rachel was like doing some like, "Dear Mr. President, don't take like," oh no, maybe she was pro-gun. She's like, "Don't take our guns away," something like that. And then there was like Hallie and Izzy in the background like shooting Nerf guns at each other. Like, is that supposed to be like real guns or what is this? It was pretty funny. I mean, it was all low effort. Mine sucked as well. Like all the shit like when me and Henry were doing the Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker fight, I had like a fucking black garbage bag as my cape and everything. So it's supposed to be low effort no matter what. Because whatever you're supposed to do, it's
Well,
COVID.
yeah, the JFK assassination. Ben Teglin got on the roof of his house with like I don't even know, like it wasn't a Nerf. No, what are they called? Airsoft guns.
Airsoft gun.
And we have them sitting in chairs in the back of a truck, like driving, and I had to edit in like a, and then like,
Yeah,
where
it
he
is
like
really
falls.
funny.
So Kyle literally just goes, like, and just dies like in the truck.
That is really
But
funny.
we pan to Ben, and then all of a sudden we pan to the car. I gotta show you guys this
Okay.
at the end. It's so funny.
We should edit all these into the video.
we just
Edit in clips from our Decades
Yes,
Project into the
I
Decades
do.
Project.
I have all the clips, so
Yeah, no, we should later after we do this episode, we should like reconvene and like edit it, like find all the clips that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like-
Re-edit like we did before.
No. Just send. You have the Decades Project
No,
video
I know,
somewhere.
but you're gonna have to edit more then. You're just
It's
editing.
probably saved on my computer.
I'm gonna look in
I
the
know
Google
the
Drive.
project that I
Yeah, if
did
you
it
share
in,
with me on Google Drive, I should be able to do
the
it.
project got messed up for me because it was like I like lost some media, so
Yeah.
it's just like blank.
Oh,
pictures.
yeah, that's so
Oh, an
frustrating.
iMovie, yeah.
I
No,
hate
I mean,
like
that
when you
happened
delete
in
a video
iMovie
and then
too, but
if you don't get the video back, you're fucked.
yeah.
If you accident, there was one time where when we had to do the Renaissance project, I was like, I don't have any room to save this full video. I'm gonna delete all the clips that I edited in. So I deleted all of them. I tried to save it, and it was like, you can't save it because you don't have those clips anymore because we have to take them from your phone. I was like, and I didn't go into recently deleted, so I got them all back, and it was like, oh, here you go. And so then I was talking about that the next day in class, and the teacher, our 10th grade history teacher, was like, I was like, yeah, guys, I accidentally deleted our entire video, and it was like due the next day, and he's like, you what? He had no hopes for us, but then our video was good, so he was happy.
It was kind of funny because Lauren went back to her house to get her computer because mine wasn't as bad.
Mhm.
Or mine was doing bad, sorry.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't working properly. So yeah, I did do it on my computer. But
Yeah.
we were like, should we like prank her? Like we low key were like, we should prank her and make her think that we deleted the whole video on accident. So we're all literally, she walks in, Ben, Kyle, Josh, and me are literally sitting there like this, like like the guys like were crying, like they
Oh
were
my
getting this
God,
fake crying going,
Dude.
and I was like, Lauren, I'm so sorry, but we deleted the whole video. And she
No!
starts bawling.
No!
And they're just like, you can see them kind of cracking up, but like still have their head down, like. And then we finally told her, and she was pretty happy, but like.
Dude, I would have been so pissed. Like, oh
I'd have been
my
like,
God.
oh,
she
don't
was
it-
like,
You just
she was
mi-
like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And we're like, well, when you delete something off your phone, like it gets rid of it in iMovie. So like, it's
Yeah,
just the
exactly,
thing
exactly.
we talked about, but
That is really
It was-
that's funny and fucked at the same
yeah,
time.
it was kind of messed
If I
up.
was, yeah, if you're Lauren, you're at that point, you're like, you're like mad, but also relieved. So like, you can't be too mad.
Well,
like-
she was so stressed, like going to get her computer from her house because she lives pretty far
Yeah,
away
yeah,
from
yeah.
me. So
Wait, so she came back with her computer, and then you got, bro.
That's so mean.
That is very mean.
She just went and got a laptop so y'all could edit this shit, and it's gone. It's gone.
Isn't it crazy how it's been 25 minutes of this podcast and we have not talked about the thing we're supposed to talk about?
Well, yeah, but we can.
That's how the podcast works.
Did you guys make like iMovie videos or
Yeah.
like movie star videos when you were younger? Shit like that. Like,
Don't show them the Sandquist montage.
No, not that one. I have one of oh shoot. I don't even know who it is at this point. I'll have to go look at some point. But it was like a project from 9th grade and it was just the most random people and it's just like bloopers.
Oh.
I-
Was it the project where I had to invent something and
No, it's
9th
the
grade
rap.
civics?
I think it was the rap.
the rap was 11th grade?
Okay.
I think that when you had to do the World War
I
I
don't
rap.
really remember.
Teglin still has this like pretty much memorized.
Wait, World War One. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
That was a push.
Okay. Yeah.
what?
All of this,
It
you know what's
feels
funny
like
is
way
that the
longer
Decades
ago,
Project,
but-
I actually have to bring it up later in my thesis about the thing because it actually ties in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
It'll be interesting to see. You'll see. But anyways, so
did you make like iMovie movie or like just little like skit or like just some dumb shit when you were like, younger?
when I was younger, I mean, in middle school we kind of did. I tried to do Vine a little bit. I'm so
I have a
glad that
scary
is
movie
gone.
of Joe.
Of Joe Knox?
Yeah. A scary movie, like
Of
trailer.
Notch?
Yeah.
The iMovie
Yeah.
template. I have one of like me and my brothers just like smacking the shit out of snowmen. Like
Yeah.
it was so easy, it was so fun.
Yeah.
There were a couple that I made that were like actually like entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
There was one where did you guys know who like King Vader was on Vine?
Maybe.
Like,
I know King Batch.
well, yeah.
Only a spoonful.
He would just do these like it'd be kind of like the skit comedy, but then instead of like the punchline is all of a sudden they're all like dancing and shit. Like it was super
Oh,
weird.
you tried to
It was
recreate
super
that?
weird. So I like kind of recreated that.
Oh God.
But it was Ryan Lester and
Yeah.
and then it was my brother and his friend Ryan.
Okay.
And
That's
basically
who it was.
Ryan
That's
is
who it was in the
Ryan
video.
Lester.
Sorry. Yeah, that's who it was.
Dude, so it was just
What's up with
Ryan
Ryan Lester?
bullying Ryan. That was
Okay.
the whole plot. But we had like a flashback, and then this kid like chucks a trash can at his bully's head,
Yeah.
and everything's like going crazy. They're like celebrating, but it's just like heavy like bass music.
Remember when we had to do in seventh grade, we had to do the anti-bullying video?
Yes.
That is still one of the funniest things. Aiden's video of that with John
John
Braun.
Ross.
We'd have sleepovers where we would just try to watch that video, and if anyone laughed, we had to restart it. And we literally spend like an hour watching the same video. And when John Braun falls over, like he does his like fake fall. I was it's the funniest thing I've
Oh
ever seen.
wait, are you talking about the like
Um.
it?
The
Wasn't that part of the mindset
Yes.
Yeah,
process?
you had to have like a fake website and stuff.
Dude, I remember my video, like, Mr.
I have
made.
to cut that out, but yeah.
So,
Miss
okay, my
teacher,
bad,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
This
this
teacher.
teacher, she had our group, like, present in front of Miss.
I had to delete that too.
And, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
Because you're so
Okay.
good.
Basically,
Lucas,
yeah,
what's
this
wrong with
teacher
it?
made,
Oh, this is for my printer.
That's
I don't know what to be doing. X there, hope that's fine.
this teacher made us do the mindset project in front of the principal of the school. And see, when we did it in front of our class, like the presentation was whatever. It's just we had a really like funny blooper video.
Yeah.
So then when we played that for our principal, he didn't really think it was that funny.
Yeah.
And then it was just awkward because like everyone was like kind of laughing, but like didn't because he's just sitting there like
Yeah.
just taking notes, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm thinking of donuts.
also, we like sucked the second time we presented it. Everyone was so
Eric.
nervous.
Oh my God! That was in ninth grade. Dude, do you remember that? In ninth grade, when we did the invention project and Eric Barber did Donut Dudes. I think it was Johnny Kateria might have been in there.
I wasn't in that class, but
I wasn't
remember
either.
us
He-
really seeing
okay,
the
wait. So we should
video.
explain. It was
I remember
Eric.
seeing that.
We had to make an invention and make a video, like an advertisement for it. I don't know how that fucking applied to civics, but whatever. And they did this thing called Donut Dudes, which is like a service that just brings you donuts, I guess.
Mhm.
And then Eric he has this I don't know. He panned his box of donuts and like shit towards the camera, and it was in the shape of a big dick.
Yeah.
It was like two fucking whatever donuts on the bottom, and then like one big like
That
eclair.
teacher, when I was in the class, was pissed.
Was pissed. Like I think they got like such a bad. He like turned off the video immediately. Oh my God. That was the funniest thing. I completely forgot about that. You just unlocked a core
Because he'd
memory.
be like, donut dudes.
Yeah, and Eric's voiceover is also so dog shit. He like used some like he like was so close to like I don't know if it was his phone. He's like, "Welcome to Donut Dudes. We're gonna show you how to get the most delicious decadent donuts you could ever find." I was like, it was
So
so
accurate.
it was so funny.
Oh,
Yeah, but other than like Loudmouth memes and stuff, I never like really made that many videos. Other than like the vines and stuff and the school projects. But like there was one time where me and Willem used to do like Minecraft videos and stuff that in seventh grade. Like that was really cringe. I'm glad that channel is deleted. But one time we did this school project where it was me, Willem, and Noah Appert, and it was for the seventh grade science teacher who was like really young.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
he really fucked with our first
yum.
project. We had the first project he really fucked with. Did you accidentally say it?
No.
Okay.
I was about to.
Okay. He really fucked with it. So then the second one we just did this. We did a second project together, and we did it again, but we tried to make it more funny, and he hated it because we were just. It was like just chaotic and like didn't go
Oh,
I feel
along
like
with like what the
school
project was.
projects are so hard because you want to make your class laugh,
Laugh.
but also you need to get the grade. But like you're like, how do you keep people entertained
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
It's like all of this stuff that I got like really good grades on, like
Boring.
nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, I guess the mindset project, that was like, but the whole presentation sucked. Like, it was such a bad presentation. It was just funny because of like the videos that we played.
That was the most stressful project for no fucking reason. Isn't it
It,
crazy?
it
Like,
literally was like half the fucking year. Like, because we started reading that book, and then we had to like go back and like annotate all
well,
like
we started
everything.
reading the book. Nobody read that
Well,
fucking book. Let's be
no,
honest.
no. But then you had to like quote, and then we had to
I
get
had to
like
pay for that book
it.
because someone threw it away.
What do you mean someone threw it away?
Like someone threw it away. Like it was
At your
checked out
house?
at the library. No, like at school.
So it wasn't you at all?
I didn't. I walked past the garbage looking at. I was looking at the garbage and I was like, oh, there's a mindset book in there. Come to find out, I'm missing my mindset book the next day. I'm like, did someone throw my mindset book in the garbage?
What? This is the
Yeah.
weirdest story.
It was really weird, but I had to pay for a new one.
Damn, you should have just grabbed that mindset book.
Well, I just didn't think it was mine. Like, why would didn't throw it in the garbage? So why would it be in the garbage?
So was it after you returned it to the library?
Huh?
So-
No, before like I had to pay the library for a book that doesn't exist because I didn't
No,
have
but did
it.
you return the book yet? So had you like you didn't?
No, I didn't return the book
So the
yet.
next day you're like, oh shit, where's my book?
Yes.
It must have been that one in the garbage.
Yes,
So then you have to
that's
tell the
exactly.
teacher. Oh, that must have been cringe.
And they were like, "Well, we don't have it," and I'm like,
You're like, can I go check the garbage outside of this classroom? And then she's like, why? You're like, well, I just gotta check to see if my book is in
I
there.
feel like that's something people would do in 7th grade though. They're like, oh,
Let me throw away
screw the
Abby's book.
mindset book.
I
Throw it away.
I'm gonna take someone else's book and throw it away because I don't want to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
There
It was
was
$21. I was like, no.
because
Crazy.
they were hardcover too, weren't they? Like the
I don't know
little,
if
they're
mine
just
was.
little like. I
Yeah,
think mine was hardcover.
yeah.
I hated that book. The project, I think it was a really good project though, because it literally was like half the year. Like we had probably like 6 to 8 weeks just dedicated to that was
Yeah.
after we read the book. Like we read it, and then we had to like work on this step, and then we had to do this, and
Yeah.
then we had to do the presentation. Like
Yeah, you had to make the video. You had to make
The
the
website.
website. You had to make like fake tweets and shit. You had to like do extra research. You had to do the presentation, and then like you had to have like quotes from the book, obviously, in it. But it was like it's crazy how like you think it's like fourth grade. Once in fourth grade, we spent like half the year doing this one PowerPoint on like a state, and it's like I could do that entire thing in one night now. I had like imagine you remember how long it used to take to do like a research project back in the day? And I cracked those bitches out in a day or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they
that's-
used to
that's
make
how
us
you
do those like
it.
cards though, the citation cards.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do you
yeah.
remember those fucking like when you had
The
to literally
website.
like write down all the shit you did and get it like initialed by the teacher
Yeah, that
and
was
like
the
and by your
cards. The
parents and
cards.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just and you had to like write down like your thoughts on it and like switch it with another student and like grade each other's. It's like all of this shit for reading a book that nobody's gonna read. It's like, what is the point? You're wasting everyone's time. We could be learning about other shit.
Yeah, when we used to do like the student like correction
Yeah.
things,
I
like
mean,
all throughout
like-
high school, like I feel like no one actually cared, so they would like
Exactly.
barely edit it.
Did
No, I
you
never-
use your planner?
Not really.
Did you use your planner?
No.
No.
I
Like,
try. There would be sometimes where I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
use my
I-
fucking
yes,
planner
I
right
would
now.
try to
a day
do
and a
it.
half.
The
later,
first
you're
day
like,
of school, my handwriting is always so fucking good. I take every notes in every class, and my planner is filled out. A month later, nothing. I'm back
Nothing.
to my old shit.
Yep.
And it's probably the same exact thing this year. Like I'm gonna be taking
Yeah.
notes in every class. Like this year, it's gonna be a new.
Yeah. New year, new me, and then
Yeah.
a week later, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah,
I remember why I hate this.
yeah. I feel like I hated back in high school because I feel like sometimes you wouldn't know if you had homework or not. So you'd be like, hey, do we have homework tonight? And it's like I was in the class. It's like how do I not know if I don't have homework?
Yeah.
Like it should be on some sort of board, like you should know, or it should be in like I guess now we have like Canvas or whatever. Or what I don't know, fucking what you use for like your school super sites.
It's I don't even know. Wait.
What do you mean you don't know?
It's just called like my and then my school name.
Oh, yeah, that's how mine. That's one of my websites.
Oh, and then it
that's
goes
like
to Blackboard. Which
that is what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
What-
Blackboard.
Blackboard. That was what I was asking. Mine is
I
Canvas.
have to use Microsoft. Like I have to
Microsoft
go into
Office.
like Outlook and then like go to my
Oh.
calendar and stuff for the work. Because I mean, there's no, I shouldn't get into that. Just in
Okay.
case, just in case.
Okay.
Um, for Canvas though, I hear good things about it.
It's good. There's a thing that like where you can see your grades and like you'll have all the other assignments that like they haven't entered it yet, and like it'll be like not in, right? And then you can like type in a grade in the website and like it'll simulate like what happens if you got that grade on like
Oh,
an assignment that
really?
you haven't even gotten yet.
Oh,
Or like an assignment that is already handed in, like if you got like, oh, let's say if I go back and redo this assignment and get 5 extra points, I could do this, and then my grade would go up to that.
That's
So
so
is it worth
nice
it?
because I try to calculate that all the time and I can't.
Yeah.
So I just have to bank for like the high grades, which is good because then I'm not like lowering
Then you're not like
myself.
trying to like get the bare minimum, but
that's.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all senior year, but that is exactly what I did. Do you think you can get in trouble for like talking about cheating?
oh, you can get in
Like,
trouble on this
Technically,
podcast for sure.
technically you,
well,
technically you fessed up. You know, like
well, I
they
mean,
have
yeah,
your word, but
No,
like,
but
we're
it's
all
like, what are
everything
they
we say
gonna
on this
do?
podcast is a joke. So
I'm just playing a character right now.
yeah, yeah,
You don't know who I am.
yeah,
This is
exactly.
this is just.
No, trust me, that shit doesn't slide. Trust me. You could go the entire your entire podcast without saying you know what school you go to, and then they can still find out about it. Yeah,
Should we get into it?
I might have to. Where does it even begin? You can go you can
How
go back so far.
how long ago? Like what? How long ago did we record this episode? It was in
It was in
2020, right?
January of 2020.
Okay,
So
so
basically, well, it all started. It all starts with episode 2 of the podcast where we're talking about homecoming week of. Wait, before okay, we should do this before we start this story, right? If it's good that we're talking about this at the beginning of summer because there are people that listen to this podcast that still go to the school that we went to, right? So if we're going to be talking shit about specific members of the staff, let's just hypothetically say, they might be like, "Hey, I heard you did this 2 years ago," and then they'll be like, "Oh, what a fucking bitch! He's talking about it on the podcast still." Like, so like, and like I have siblings that are gonna go to the school, so I don't want them to like, get in
yeah,
trouble because of something I like. Obviously, that would they're not gonna get in trouble, but you know what I mean, like, oh, you're
your
Lucas
brother,
Hansen's
your brother,
brother.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that kid's a bitch.
yeah.
Because I think now I still have a pretty good relationship with most of the staff of the school,
You
even if at the time,
kind of.
even if well yeah, but even if at the time they weren't a big fan of me, like they probably think are like, oh yeah, he's grown up since then. Even if the people that did think that this was like a bad thing, they like have learned like, oh yeah, but who cares? Because he's fine now.
so wait, where did you get the idea to have the three of us on?
From you, this
That was
episode,
from me? No,
yeah.
no, no, no. I meant Luke, Kyle.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So this is just a random. It was a random episode. It was episode 17, and so then we were all in the same physics class, and I was like, "You guys all work together there at this pool, right?
Hmm.
You should all be on the podcast together." And then on that day, they announced what the SnoWeek dress-up days are going to be. So on the podcast before, I complained about the what's it called?
Homecoming.
Homecoming dress-up days, which the student council decides, and we were like, "They're all
The
pretty
whole
good."
student council.
Yeah, right. It was me, Carl, and Jack on the episode, and we're all like, yeah. By the way, we're all the. It was like homecoming week when we recorded the episode. We're like, yeah, all the dress up days were good this week, except for the grout fit day, which is like one of the themes or whatever, where you wear a grout fit, which is a gray outfit, which is apparently like a thing that I didn't know about. And then when we did the episode 17, the day that we're gonna do it, they announced the dress up days, and they're gonna be like all these whatever days. Usually on the Friday or on one of the days of the week, there's Twin Day, which is where you and another person dress up exactly the same.
No, it's always class colors.
No, 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 not on Friday, but usually one of the days.
Oh.
Usually on one of the days, me and I have this bit where me and Simon wore the same thing, except I wore a big wig because he has long hair. So that was the joke, but and we're gonna recreate it obviously in that year. And so when we were like, there is no twin day, but then also the class colors day, our class color is gray, which isn't really even a color if you think about it. It's like the absence of color. It's
perfect for our grade.
it's a shade, or it's a tint of the color white, or a shade of the color no.
So then
It's a
Black.
what?
It's a shade of the color black, or a
It's a-
tint of the color white, or both, or the opposites.
Uh,
Is white a color, or is black a color?
Yeah.
Black is the absence of color. White is, because visible light.
When you think black is every single color combined?
It's red, green, and blue. That's what kind of light makes like white light. You ever seen that? You ever go to science museum?
Yeah. We should have Simon on this podcast because this dude doesn't think there's 7 colors in the
Yeah.
rainbow.
Neither do I.
Well, you guys are, dumb, but I don't,
Indigo? It's not a color.
What do you mean it's not a color? You can't say it's not
Okay,
a color.
it's a color. It's not in the rainbow because it's just the merge of blue and violet. It is just the merge of the two because it's dark blue.
Oh, so wait a minute. But what's that color in between red and yellow?
Orange.
Oh, but that's just the merge of
But
red
that's
and
just
yellow.
merged red and
Wait.
That's
yellow.
like dark orange, dark orange.
Dark orange is red.
So
No, it's
It's
not.
just a shade of red.
It's
and
orange
yellow.
minus yellow, not orange minus white.
You can say the same thing about
But
green.
indigo,
it's
you
just
don't
a
have to-
shade of
you don't-
yellow and blue.
Indigo isn't dark blue. It's indigo. It's purple and blue.
yeah, so when you're looking at a rainbow, when you see the crossover
Or it's
of
violet and blue. Sorry.
when you see the crossover of violet and blue, that's just
Indigo.
in between the two. Like
Yeah, but I feel like.
But so is orange. Orange is between
I
red
feel
and
like
yellow, and
blue-
green is between
I feel
yellow and
like
blue.
You see, this is blue right here. When you look at like violet or purple, that's a very distinct color. But when
Yeah.
you look at
indigo,
indigo,
it merges.
it's just. Well, yeah.
I get why.
but
I get
it's
why
its
people say that.
own thing,
But
like
this is
they
it's
classify that because they can measure it on the spectrum.
no,
of
it's
light.
like wavelength shit.
Yeah, they
you
can
remember
measure
you remember
that.
8th grade science? We did that wavelength like fucking activity. It's like there's like microwave, like ultraviolet rays, microwave rays, and then eventually it's like very close together. It's like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet rays or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
like the light rays or whatever,
Yeah,
or something like that.
Maybe
But
visible
because-
light,
it's
but like when
because
you
they
look
can-
at a rainbow, you don't say indigo. Like I'm not like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Like I don't say indigo.
So you don't say violet either.
Oh, I say purple. I guess I don't. I never say.
purple.
So
Violet.
the reason Simon says is because he goes indigo is a tertiary color. It's like, okay, Simon, are we talking about the color wheel or are we talking about the rainbow? Two completely different things. The color wheel is mixing colors together on a fucking paintbrush. You got red. You got on opposites of each other. You got fucking red and yellow make fucking orange. Duh. Orange is a fucking secondary color. Orange, purple, and green are secondary colors, and red, blue, and yellow are primary colors, right? So that the 6 make the color wheel, right?
Mhm.
But if you're being a bitch, you can have the tertiary color wheel where you have all the things. So he says indigo is a tertiary color. It isn't even a tertiary color. He's just wrong. Because a tertiary color is like yellow, green, or like red, orange.
Yeah.
That's because it was class colors day, and one of the colors was fucking gray.
And then you
Oh.
argued about if it's white or black, a shade.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
We're going in circles. Here.
We're going back.
Okay.
We're going back. Okay.
We
so
had grade day. It sucked.
yeah. Okay. So basically, they're like, okay, for 11th grade, you have to wear gray, and it's like, okay, out of any color in the world, why would you pick gray? And it wasn't we wear a grout outfit. It was the color you're supposed to wear is gray, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that was dumb. You thought it was dumb. Pretty much everyone thought it was dumb. Let's be honest. So then we went on the podcast, and we're like, it'd be funny. Let's do an intro where we talk about the thing, like where we pretend we're mad. So I did this entire intro. I might cut it in now, might not.
What we do at our school is we have dress. I don't know if it's do do people do that at every school? Dress up days on homecoming.
Friend that goes to Shakopee High School, and her high school had actually good themes. Such as well, they had a Blaze Orange Day, and you know what? That's a lot better than
Okay,
yeah,
I'd like
all black
to
versus
say
all
that.
gray.
I don't think it's bad though.
No.
And, okay.
I'm not saying
no,
that they're bad.
No offense to
I think only one of them is bad, and that was the all gray versus.
yeah, no
all
It was
offense
all
to
gray
our
versus-
student council. I think they're great, but I hope SnoWeek is better.
And
I think that they
if there
do.
is seriously no twin day, I will create an uprising that will make a twin day.
Well, student council. You had one job. We can tell that you didn't listen to episode 2 of the podcast because you clearly are incompetent. It's kind of funny how not only did you not do twin day or not dress up as a teacher day or something funny for the 5th day, you decided to do class colors, and instead of maybe a color for the 5th day, you picked gray. And I'm saying student council. It's fucking Abby. It's Abby. Abby, what the hell were you thinking? Gray? Like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, pink, brown, black, white, chartreuse, magenta, lavender, cyan, fucking gold, silver, anything but fucking gray again, after we already said that that's the stupidest, dumbest idea for a dress-up day that we've ever had across all of high school, across all of middle school, hell, across all of fucking elementary school. Dress up in a gray outfit? Are you fucking kidding me? And the seniors are like, oh, we're gonna dress up in camo and orange. Oh yeah, that's cool. You know what's cool about orange? It's a fucking color! So yeah, I'm pretty mad about the whole dress up day thing. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Avery. How are you doing?
That was incredible.
But I edited in this entire montage together of me complaining about the gray and the last thing, and then I had this whole rant. I played epic music in the background, so obviously
It was.
And he was
it
screaming
so-
54 different colors.
yeah, I was like, out of every color you could have picked, I list every color I could name.
Chartreuse.
Magenta, chartreuse, cyan.
Yeah.
I was saying all this shit, and then I was like, you what, really gray? Like, why would you? And so then obviously I was like, Abby, what the hell were you thinking? Because I don't know why. It was just something random I said. It wasn't like
Well, because out of everyone in student council,
Abby's
this
Abby's
person probably knows you the best.
yeah, Abby's the close friend I had on the student council. She's probably the only person who was on the podcast in the student council at the time. And then she was also like,
It was just so ironic because I wasn't even there when.
and
I
yeah,
picked
she didn't
the
even come up with
decision.
the
I was literally on a trip when this whole thing happened.
yeah. So then basically I did this entire thing. I'm like, Abby, what the hell were you thinking? Gray? So then I don't know. I just randomly said that one
it was
part.
so very clearly a joke, though.
It was
It
so
was so very clearly a joke.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
he
yeah.
put music behind it. Like we were literally me, Kaiser, and Lucas were sitting there trying not.
Yeah,
to
dude.
laugh.
Yeah, you guys were literally
Because,
laughing during
we
it.
were like you could probably hear little squeaks in it.
Yeah,
and shit
yeah,
like that. But how out of proportion this got blown was just absolutely insane.
So then, not only that, it was like an hour. It was like a really long episode. It was like an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I can check right now. I still privated on my YouTube channel. What if I accidentally unprivated it while we recorded this episode?
You should say that you'll leave it up for 24 hours or something.
Well, we'll talk about at the end why what we'll have to do to get it back, because there is a certain
Get approval.
Well,
there's
it was
certain people I got to get approval.
everybody got in trouble
Okay,
out
never
of
mind.
some point. Well, should we talk about how the trouble started before I get into that?
Well, here, hold on. It has 162 views, and it was only up for 3 days. That's pretty good, I'd say. And it was an hour and 27 minutes and 43 seconds long. Well, actually, it was probably longer than that because I think I edited out the beginning because I was going to re-upload it, but I just cut out the beginning part. I still have it somewhere, that clip, but I don't know where. I'd have to go looking for it. Anyways, what I was going to say is we did this entire podcast where we weren't even talking. We just only talked about the first couple seconds. So then the episode comes out, and obviously I thought that beginning rant was pretty funny. So I put on my story. I'm like, hey, by the way, if you don't have time to watch this entire episode, just watch the first 5 minutes. It's funny. And then I kind of also this is nobody really knows about this, but I kind of also made a stink about the gray day thing on Instagram. I was like, guys, nobody wear gray. We're gonna go our class. We're gonna go twin day on, and this is before the podcast even came out.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So on that episode, we not only that we talked about the fact that we kind of so it was Luke, Blattner, and Ben Kaiser, and me and you, and so we are talking about the student council shit for like the first 5 minutes, and we were like, then we were talking about like the parking at our school, and I said some shit like I incriminated myself, kind of like how we are doing earlier in this episode. I was like, yeah, so yeah, I've actually missed all 4 days of school this week because like of one reason or another I've came late, and I never went to the attendance desk. I just snuck behind the because how our school works. If you were late, you had to go to the attendance desk and sign yourself in, and you get like a slip. And then if you get X amount of it, like I think it's 3 tardies, you have to go to detention or something.
Did you hear what happened to the attendance lady?
Yes, you told me about that.
That's so sad. She got hit by a car.
That wasn't the lady though. That's a different. There's the lady over.
Yeah, but still does stuff with attendance.
Yeah.
Check in.
Yeah, but this isn't the lady who I was scamming. This isn't the lady you're talking about.
Okay.
How is she doing, by the way?
I don't know.
Yeah, all I know is that she got hit by a car.
Yeah, while she was getting her mail.
Oh, really? I thought it was in the parking lot of the school.
No, she was getting her mail.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. Was it you who told me that?
Yeah.
I've seen you so much recently. This is so weird. I've seen you like the past 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyways, what?
No, I've also just been seeing you do a lot recently.
Yeah.
It's like
it was like
literally like a whole 3 years of
when we planned this episode. I was like, this is gonna be the weirdest combination. I've seen both of you the last like 2 days. Anyways, so
you incriminated yourself.
So I incriminated myself, and I was like, but none of the reasons I was late was really my fault, other than I could have obviously left earlier. But it was like I got stuck in like the trap, like because it was like snowy because it was in January, so like everyone was like late to school pretty much, and like I honestly like there's always this huge line by the attendance of people who are late when there's snow days. So it's like, why would I miss class just to get myself in trouble when I could just go around up to the stairs and then not go to the attendance desk and then just go into class?
I've just heard people say that they send them back though sometimes.
Yeah, but
Go get one.
My first hour teacher was like our English teacher that year in 11th grade, and so obviously he was fine. But later we'll see how.
Was I in that class?
Yes, you were. I don't know if you were in that semester, but you were. I don't know if we had it. Whatever, who cares? Anyways.
Second hour.
Huh?
I was in second hour for that class.
You were in second hour?
First.
No, I think me and Abby were both in first for both semesters.
Like Joe, Jack, Bailey was in that class. There were so many people in that class. That was weird.
Yeah. So, basically, we talked about that. And then we also talked about how I went camping with like a bunch of people, but Blattner and his dad were there. I was kind of talking shit about Blattner's dad the entire time because his dad was being a complete dick when we were camping, and so I'll just say this because I don't really care. He's probably he was cool. He was really nice to take us camping. He like made all the food and shit. But like there were certain times where like he was just being like a dick for no reason. Like I like tried to pour myself I don't remember if I was pouring myself a bag of Doritos. Yeah, I was. There was a big bag of Doritos and we were like eating dinner. So like we were all like walking like like there's like a bunch of tables laid out with all the food. Like you walk with your plate, pick up what the shit you want. So there's like 2 people in front of me, like Jaffe, whatever, got the bag of Doritos, like dumped it on their plate. I did the same thing, and Blattner's dad looked at me and was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "What?" And like I've never met him before, other than this camping chick. He's like, "Well, you trying to spill the chips everywhere?" I didn't spill the chips anywhere. It's like, what do you want me to do? Reach my gross hands in there? We're at a campsite, like. You don't know what fucking what shit has been. This is the most sanitary way to do it, and I'm not wasting food.
Did you say
eat
that?
all these chips. No, I was just like, oh, my bad. And Eric was like, yeah, welcome. This is the boss or whatever, because that's what they call him, the boss. And yeah, so it was. We were kind of like making fun of that. Blattner told some embarrassing stories about how he went to Kaiser's house to sleep over and he couldn't find the bathroom, so he peed in his kitchen sink. And then he said that he like almost got in a car crash with the boss or whatever. And then you guys told a lot of stories about at the pool.
Well, because we talked about Dan. We talked about Dan a lot because that summer. I mean, that summer at the pool was so much fun. But I think there were some other employees there who weren't prepared for what Dan had planned for the summer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was awesome because like yeah, he'd bring in like books and shit, and just we'd have a blast every day when I worked with him. But he did some really funny like stupid shit, and we talked a little bit about it. But that was more of like this is what Dan did to like make other people uncomfortable, which probably wasn't like the
Right.
best idea.
I don't even remember like
See,
that being a
but
big
yeah,
deal though
no,
on the
it was
podcast.
like I just remember like because we all thought it was funny. We're like, because we love Dan. This is why
Right,
we
right.
love Dan, and
Mm.
these other people hate Dan because of this.
Oh, okay. I remember like you were telling us some story about some kid was like drowning
Yeah,
some other kid, and then like
we kicked him out, and then
yeah,
I called him the dumbest fucking kid I'd ever met, and
okay,
that's what I got in trouble for.
okay.
Wait, you got sent down?
Yeah, like so.
Wow, okay. So
Yeah,
we'll get
we'll
into
get
it.
into it.
So basically, so that episode comes out on a Saturday, right? I believe. That same day or on Sunday, I don't remember. It was before school started the week. I literally Snapchatted Abby. I was like, "Hey, by the way, I kind of clowned you in the beginning of this podcast. I'm sorry. I was kind of like over exaggerating, obviously." And she's like, "I don't give a fuck." So, and then so
Oh
she was
God.
like, I even like I was like, yeah, I probably should have asked Abby before, like, because she probably didn't even make the decision to make gray the color of
But
our
oh
thing.
boy.
So, anyways, so we get to school on Monday, I believe, and it was Monday, and then obviously people were talking about it, and then you had like a student council meeting earlier in the day, and I saw you were all chilling outside of the our first hour classroom, and you're like, hey, by the way, I think I don't remember if it was that day or Tuesday. You said like, hey, by the way, I think
It
um
was Tuesday. That's when we had meetings.
okay, so you were like, hey, by the way, I think this like the leader of student council heard about the podcast. I was like, really? What did she say? Because I thought it was funny. She's like, yeah, she's actually mad. I'm like, what?
Well, what happened was, so me and a few other of the officers were
Yeah,
listening to it because I showed it to them because I thought it was funny, and they
yeah.
did too. They were like, "What the heck? Like what? Like it's so random." And so then our like leader slash a teacher at the school like walked in, and she's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And we were like, "Oh, it's just like the podcast." And then she went on her own and listened to it, and then a few hours later.
Yeah, so I was in choir, and I was like, "What?" I remember I was talking shit. I was like, "What can they fucking do to me?" Like, what was I doing? Talking shit about student council? Like, I have fucking, I can complain about that. It was obviously like, if you think I'm actually serious, like I'm making a joke about student council, like it's such like an absurd thing to talk about on the podcast. Like, think about like pop people with popular podcasts, like they complain about like politics. I was
Yeah.
kind of like parody of that. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
complaining
yeah.
like the student council, we need to rebel, we need to the government is corrupt, shit like that. So I was like kind of like parodying that, like kind of shitting on that, like, and then so and I was like complaining about like, yeah, what the fuck them? Like I was like, fuck the principals. Like, what are they gonna do? And there's this one teacher there that like I never have had, but he's always like hated me because I'm always loud in the hallways and outside of that his room. And he's like, hey, I don't want you talking about my like the staff like that. And I was like, oh, sorry. He's like, yeah, you better be sorry or whatever. And I was like, what the hell? That's so random. And I was like, maybe this is a bigger deal than I'm thinking it is. And then so I think I told my mom later that night. It was like a it was like a
I do feel bad
it was a
because
Tuesday, right?
someone thought that they were going to get blamed for it because someone else was also an officer.
No, I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So it was Tuesday night. I go home. I'm like, hey, by the way, I think these people listen to the podcast, right? And then my parents are like, oh, really? And I'm like, well, if you get in trouble for it, like, then whatever. So the next day, it was, now keep in mind, it's snow week, right? So that day was 70s day or whatever. It was like 70s versus 80s. So I come to school, I'm wearing this giant black afro, and I have this shirt that's buttoned down to like here. And I'm like, the guy from that 70s show, like the dad, like Donna's dad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of being like that guy. And so I'm like dressed like that all day. And like, I think someone like said, hey, that, I think it was Rebay was like, hey, isn't that costume kind of racist? I'm like, racist because I guess I was wearing a black afro. And he's like, I'm like, people, that's just what people with that, like, people had that in the 70s or whatever. It's like, it's not like I was like pretending to be like a black person or anything. I was just the dude from that 70s show with the big afro. So whatever. I told my parent like I was in choir, and all of a sudden I see someone walk in, and I'm like, this is bad news for me. I don't know how, but this is gonna be bad news for me. And I see just like they had this pink piece of paper, they give it to the choir teacher, and then I'm like, this is bad news. And then he's like conducting the thing, and then he just goes, and I'm like, yep. And I just immediately walk over. I knew it was me. He's like, yeah, apparently this is for you. I was like, fuck me, I guess. So I sent a picture of my parents. I'm like, do you think they were like mad at you for that costume? Like they thought it was having to do with my costume for the 70s day. So I was in the principal's office. I was like, oh shit. And then the one of the principal who was like came out, and I was like, and then
just call her
we should come up with a name.
for the prosecution. Just say like the prosecutor.
The prosecutor, like come
Yeah.
up with a short name or
Oh,
something.
okay.
Because we have like nicknames for certain people that we don't want to talk about, like on the podcast.
I mean, I want to say, but like,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
No.
I have had some incidents with her before.
Well, yeah, a lot of people. This is my first interaction with her, and there's a series of people like in my family who've gotten in trouble via her, and like all I ever hear is like, oh, she's the worst, whatever. Like she's so mean, and there's teachers like that in the past, like people like who I've had as a teacher who everyone complains about, and then I have them. I'm like, oh, they're pretty cool. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're over exaggerating, maybe not. So I go into the room, and this is the first day of the whole incident, right? And so she like she's like, why I'm in here? I have you in here today. I'm like, well, it might be it could be because of the costume, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the podcast. And she's like, yeah, the podcast. What do you want me to say about the podcast? I'm like, well, I've heard that there are teachers who have listened to this a part of it that maybe when taken out of context, you might think that it's like me being mean to student council. And she's like, yeah. So one of the things she said, first of all, was like, so Lucas, how many people named Abby do you know? I go, one, which is actually a lie because I do know two people named Abby. I didn't think about it at the time, right?
Oh,
because there's another person that goes to our school named Abby, but I don't like.
Wait,
I'm not like friends with her or anything.
You didn't know that.
No, I knew about that, but did that? Okay, just continue.
I could have like been a bitch about it, but I was like, no, I know one, and she was like, yeah. So basically, I found out in that instance that I wasn't getting in trouble for making fun of the student council. I was making fun of that 1-2 second part where I was like, Abby, what the hell were you thinking? Like in the rant. So at this moment, I was like, this is a much more stupid issue than I thought.
Like, you didn't say what the hell, Abby. You were like, what the fuck, Abby? Like,
well, that's what she said.
You went off on Abby for like maybe a good like 10 seconds.
Well, when we listen to the clip, we're gonna find out if I did. I remember being like, I don't remember talking about Abby that much. Anyways, so there was like this whole last time where like. And I was keep in mind, I was sitting there wearing my stupid ass uniform the entire time. Like, I didn't like take off the afro or anything. I was just like, yeah, so, it's very interesting that you'd be saying that. Like, and I have the fucking, I think I buttoned up my shirt one more layer, but it was still buttoned pretty far down. And I was in the principal's office like, yeah, I guess you could say. Like, how clear is it that when I walk into that room that I'm not just trying to joke about everything? Like, seriously. So she has the podcast pulled up, and I was like, "Oh Christ, this is bad." Because I'm swearing, I'm saying fuck in the first like couple seconds. I'm like, I've got to have her turn this shit off. Because she's like, so I have some names written down here, and I want you to like tell me what your relationship to these people is. So we have Jack Dunn, and I was like, Jack Dunn. I was like, he's my friend, I guess. Like, I'm like, he wasn't on this episode. I don't know. She's like, Carl Warner, and I was like, what? How the fuck do these people? I think it's because I was talking about them in that episode. Like I said, Jack Dunn's name or something. And so, basically, so they started listening to the episode, she started listening to the episode, and to pause to make her stop playing it, I was like, wait a minute, I know what you're talking about. Like this clip is an old clip from an old episode where I was with Jack and Carl, but they weren't on this episode. Like this is like a flashback or something. She's like, oh, okay. So she was at, I don't really remember the exact like sequence of events in the first like in the day, right? So she was like, yeah, so what do you do for this podcast? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like what? She like had the thumbnail up. She's like, what is it like? Why do you call it the Be Quiet podcast? I'm like, uh, okay. So this became like an interview all of a sudden. She's like, why do you call it the Be Quiet podcast? I'm like, well, because like usually people call me Loudmouth or whatever. Like it's my like the name on the YouTube channel. It's like Be Quiet podcast is like the opposite. It's like, I'm Loudmouth, but then when we're on the podcast, it's the Be Quiet podcast, and like everyone says like, oh, be quiet, like when like I'm in the classroom. It's kind of like it's based off of Loudmouth, and she's like, so who are these people like in the thumbnail? She was showing the thumbnail. She was like, I was like, oh, it's Kaiser, my friend Avery, my friend Blattner. Who were on the episode. She's like, well then where's you? She's like, why don't you have a picture of you on here? I'm like, well, and it was back in the day. It was the thumbnail was me standing like this. It was like a shitty drawing I did in MS Paint, and she's like, I'm like, well, the drawing is me, and then so she was like, oh, okay, I see.
Why
And
does that matter?
exactly. So she's like, so why do you think you can use these pictures of these people? Like, do you think they care that they're like being posted to the internet? It's like, well, I got the pictures either from them or from their Instagram, which they've already posted to the internet. So, whatever. So then she's like, okay, so where do you do this podcast at? I'm like, my house. She's like, yeah, like on the kitchen table. I'm like, what the fuck do you need to know all these details for? She's like, kitchen table? I'm like, no, it's a table in my basement. And so I was like, okay. So I was like giving her all these details. She's like, so, what would your parents say if they found out about this podcast? I'm like, my parents have listened to every episode of the podcast, including that one, and they think it's funny, right? And I'm like, even my grandparents have listened to the podcast and they think it's funny. So that argument immediately got fucked. She thought she was gonna be able to like
Yeah.
cancel me by like calling my parents or whatever.
Yeah.
She was like, "Well, what about your friends' parents? Do they know they're on the podcast?" I'm like, "I guess I wouldn't know. I guess that doesn't really matter to me or to them. If their parents didn't want them to do it, then they wouldn't be on they wouldn't do it."
Yeah.
So and it's like also it's not like anyone can find the podcast from just searching your name because I don't like I guess sometimes like technically I have like in the description I have like Sandquist. So if you type in Sandquist, maybe you could come up with it, but not Jake Sandquist. Or like it's never someone's first and last name. Or it used to be, but I changed like it used to be in the description, but it used to be Lucas Hansen. Like in the description of every episode, like Lucas Hansen sits down with this person, and talks about whatever. And then so now then I changed it. But it like if you like even if you went on like Google and searched Lucas Hansen podcast, it still wouldn't come up. If you search Be Quiet podcast, it would come up. But like, so she had this whole ass argument about that, and so I was like, so I'm kind of confused on how this relates to this school. Like, why do you care? I can understand if it was about the student council because it's like the school student council. But like, why do you care? She's like, well, this is like cyberbullying. I'm like, cyberbullying, like like she's like, so what is your relationship with Abby? I'm like, well, we're friends, and she's like. So yeah, because what I heard about this when I first listened was I thought that you were like some sort of like in some sort of relationship, and then like you guys broke up, and then you decided to attack her on your podcast. I was like, why? What? Oh no! I was like, no, we're just friends. So like I was just joking about it, and
Oh my God.
she's like, well, what if I told you I didn't believe you? I was like, well, I guess would have. I guess I don't know what to tell you. That you're dumb for not. I didn't say that. I was like,
Yeah.
you're wrong. So I don't know. Like, I guess I should have said I was gonna say, well, Abby's been on the podcast before. If you scroll down on my YouTube channel, you could see that she's on the podcast, and you would know that we're friends. But whatever. Anyways, so she was like, so when people are bullying, like you can still bully your friends. I was like, yeah, I could see that. She's like, so sometimes you're bullying someone, and that person might say they're okay with it, and even though they're really not. And so it's like a power dilemma, like where you have this podcast, and then she has to pretend like she's okay with it when really she's not. I'm like, well, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Like, I apologized to her already. She's like, well, if I told you I didn't believe you, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. She's like, she in her brain, she's like, oh yeah, so Abby like I am like have this humongous power over Abby. I'm like, if you don't fucking pretend like you are okay with this and you don't pretend we're friends, I'm gonna like bully you. I'm gonna push you in the locker, punk. It's like what do you think? What like use your brain. What do you think is happening here? So she had this whole thing where like blah 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 Abby whatever. So then she was like, what else did she say? What was also some of the things she was saying? She was like, what do you think like what is like she one of the most fucked up things that she said was like, what's a teacher you respect right now? I'm like, and I said the A push teacher. I was like, well, let's just say we showed this to him and he didn't like it. I was like, what?
That's exactly what they did.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, she was like, yeah, we showed this to some of your teachers, and they like nobody thinks this is a good thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just like, oh, this is so cringe. And so then I was like, all right. So then I was doing she was doing all this shit. She was like saying all this shit, and she's like, yeah, we're gonna have to like talk to some more people, and then we'll probably talk to you tomorrow about the whole like we'll probably talk to you like once all that is done. And I was like. Hmm. So because of this one thing I said, where I said, "What the hell are you thinking, Abby?" They were like, "Okay, so we need to listen to this podcast, the whole hour 30 minutes. We need to have show it to at least I know at least two teachers listen to the beginning, right? So they have to walk up because they're like, "Yeah, we checked your grades and you have good grades, so we don't know why you'd be doing this kind of stuff." It's like that what does that even have to do with anything? What does my grades have to do with like how good of a person or like how good I follow the rules?
I feel like
That's kind of discriminating against the people who are in the lower class that they think like, oh, those guys can get into trouble.
but also it's like, what? Like, are they like literally following the chain of events that closely? Because they're like, okay, well, so clearly he's bullying her because he's got something going on, which is causing his mental health to like he needs to feel powerful over her.
Yeah,
So then it was like that makes sense why she was like, oh, they were like together and then they broke up, and now he's like attacking her.
yeah,
But it's like it's such like 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 we don't do that. Like
right.
nobody does that. Like if you were to ask anyone, hey Abby, like are you and Lucas dating? It'd be like fuck no. Like
Yeah.
why would that ever happen? Like
So that yeah, so it's like so then she's okay.
so I'm a
So
little baffled right now.
so
about
this is
thinking.
this is the entire thing, right? So like she listened to the full thing. Maybe some other people did. Then they showed it to at least two teachers. They had me in there for an hour the day. She was talking to me. Then she talked to my mom. She wanted to at least talk to you, her, Kaiser, Blattner, all of our parents. That's so one, that's me, that's 10 people, right? Because it's five of us and then five parents, right? And then me again. So it's like that is a ridiculous amount of time on that you're being paid to fucking work as a principal of a school that about a 2 second thing that obviously was a joke and I'm telling you is a joke and she's telling you is a joke and it's like why are you wasting all this I feel like at some point I was like I feel like you just like you spent you spent so long listening to this podcast and found out it wasn't as bad as you thought so then you just like are feeling like oh I got to get this kid in trouble because I spent so much time on this, and it's just a waste of time, and people are going to get mad at me if I don't at least give him a Saturday, like a suspension or something. So that's what I was telling her, and she's like, "No, it's like kind of like how when I speed, but only sometimes you get pulled over because sometimes there's a cop there, and so just this is the case where you just got caught. Like sometimes people are vaping on their story." On their Snapchat story, and then someone reports it, and they're like, "Well, that's not fair because other people vape." It's like, "Yeah, but you didn't get caught." It's like, what? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
This is about like literally like a satirical intro.
Yes.
That you made like.
But like her logic is since I'm wondering why it's related to the school, and it's like because I'm saying people's name like Jack Dunn, he goes to this school, so it connects to the school, and she was like listing examples like, oh, this person's vaping in the bathroom. It's like it's not against the law to vape, but in the school, if you're on school property, it is. It's in the code book, right? But it's like I wasn't in the school. This has nothing to do with the school, other than people from the school are in the podcast. We talk about things that happen at school, but we don't record it at school. We don't say what the school is. That's what the whole thing is. bleep out every time we mention the city's name, just because we don't want to be connected. We don't say any of the teachers' names. And then she's like, yeah, and then sometimes like sometimes people take a picture of like Mr. like our physics teacher that year, and then just put a picture of him on a story, and then just say dipshits. And she swears all the time, by the way, in the room. So like she's like, yeah, so it says dipshits. Like, how is that anywhere near the same? Because you're breaking the rules in the school that are the school's rules. So like that's a whole thing where I was like, I don't understand how that relates to this, other than like like if me and Abby go to the same school, so that makes me get in trouble for
Why would
cyberbullying
she
her.
not mention student council at all? Like
Yeah,
that, I feel like that would be the whole reason because you were like, "Fuck student council."
that I
like,
would have completely understood. I
but
like
she
the thing
was
is like it would have made complete sense if she was like, yeah, we listened to your podcast and you were making fun of this entire group of people that try really hard to put on a fun event for you, and that's honestly really ungrateful. And I'd have been like, yeah, I completely agree. That I thought it was a joke, but I guess I was wrong. And that I would have been that she would have had me fucked because I was wrong. I
yeah.
shouldn't have said that if everyone was mad, but they weren't mad.
Yeah,
So
literally, like she was going off of the fact that it was like you are a perpetrator right here. Like
yeah,
you are creating victims around you, and like we're gonna take you down. And literally everyone was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like,
right.
because okay, do you want to get into your meeting with her?
Oh,
Here, I can finish my
Yeah,
thing up, and
like
then you.
because like
So because like the first time I was with her, she was like saying all this. I was just kind of confused, and so like that's why I was asking her all these questions about like how this relates to the school at all. And so then when she said like all this shit, I was like, oh shit, because I knew immediately like this is the kind of issue where since I'm so clear, like I'm not to be a dick or anything, like not to be braggy, but I'm so clearly in the right,
mhm.
like, and she's in the wrong. So I know that everybody in the school is gonna be on my side, and it's gonna make me look worse. Because like I look on my phone, I see Ryan Lester, fuck or sorry, fuck. I gotta censor that out. Fuck the high school, like free Lukas, fuck censorship. He put it on his Snapchat story. I was like, bro, you gotta delete this, bro. I don't want to look bad. And then I immediately like. I Snapchatted you, I Snapchatted Luke, I Snapchatted Kaiser. I'm like, I'm so sorry, boys, but you guys are probably gonna get like sent to the principal's office, and you guys were like, oh fuck, because I was kind of talking to you about it. That like I was like, I heard that the school found out about the podcast, and then you were like, oh shit, I hope I don't get in trouble for that. I was like, nah, you'll be fine. I literally told, and and when I don't remember if it was the first time or the second time. I was like, I don't know, like I don't care what you do to me, but like if you give Blattner and Kaiser and like Avery, if you get them in trouble, like that would be the worst. Like if you, I don't know if you could, like I was trying to say like make me get in more trouble because they had nothing to do with it at all. Like they weren't like they're just doing something like a favor for me by being on the podcast. So like it's like honestly a waste of time to talk to them. Like don't even I was like if they get Saturday school like I'll feel so bad because Kaiser, you know, he would like he's like the nicest kid ever. Like Blattner, like his fucking dad would be so pissed. Like not like I'm
like
like
I'm the dad.
and I'm like, well, now Blattner's dad hates me because whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, I figured Blattner's dad didn't like me anyways because I was on the podcast talking shit about him. But I was like, he won't find out about it. Anyways, so then the first day, it was a Wednesday. I get out and I go to Spanish or whatever, and then I text all you, and then she says I gotta the first person I'm gonna talk to is Abby, and she said I saw Abby early this morning, and you know I knew I was gonna have this talk with you, and I honestly felt bad because she was like smiling, having fun in the hallway with her friends, and like I don't knew if she knew about this whole podcast like that was just devoted to talking shit about her. I'm like, okay, well that's
What the fuck are you
and I was
talking? You literally took a 2-second clip and extended it like the whole thing. You're
yeah.
like, this whole thing was an attack on her.
And another
It
thing
was an attack on
Another thing is like
her.
she was like, yeah, I was talking to some of my other staff, and obviously they all think it's bad, but like some of them thought we should listen to every single episode of the podcast, and I was like, yeah, no, you shouldn't. That would be a waste of time because it would. Like she wasted an entire day of fucking paid work for nothing, and then like. I don't know, whatever. If you want to get into like, oh, but technically she gets paid by the taxpayer, you could get into that. Oh, they had to have the school had to have X amount of $100,000 in budget cuts, and this person is wasting time on this when there are big problems in the school with other people, other students, whatever. Anyways, so then you get pulled out of class, right?
Yeah, I got pulled out of class and everyone's like laughing and like,
Yeah,
just
Abby got sent to the
staring.
principal's office.
No, she just pulled me out in the hallway.
Oh,
Oh, in
for
the hallway.
real?
Like I was in the classroom and then she was like, "Can I speak with her?" And like everyone knew who
Everyone's
it
like, ooh.
was. Yeah.
But that's also even I would even say that's worse because if it's like a student bringing in notes, then it could be for literally anything
Yeah. So then I got pulled out and then we were just in the
in
pod.
the pod.
And
Okay.
then she was just asking like my relationship with you and how I was doing and all this stuff. And then yeah, and then I got a really mean phone call from my mom because she was not happy. She was on vacation and she had to deal with that whole thing. And like she was on the phone for like 35 minutes while she's just like on vacation and she's like, there's no way my kid's a victim of cyberbullying. And
Yeah.
if she was, she would have came to me first. Like I
So
wouldn't
wait, so what were the kind of things like you were saying to her though back to or to the teacher, to the principal?
to the principal.
Like
Well,
what?
she just said like, "Are you friends with Lucas?" And I said, "Yeah." And then
And then she was like, "Have you heard about this podcast?"
she's like, "I'm assuming you already know about the podcast." And I was like, "Yeah." Like it was just super like show. I feel like it wasn't as extensive as yours. Like
Oh, mine was a
I feel like
long
after I
extent.
said like I'm doing fine, like I don't care, like I don't care about this. Then
Yeah.
she was just like, "Oh." But then she was like if you would like to press charges or if you would like him to be suspended, like we can chat about that. And I was like, "No."
Yeah. And she said that to your mom too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you texted me. You were like, "Yeah, she just yeah." I was getting gas or something, and I was like on my phone, and I like privated the episode in the gas station parking lot, and then I got a text from you, and you were like, "Yeah, bro, my mom." Called my mom, and my mom is like pissed,
Yeah.
and I was like,
I feel like that was just like the worst part, like, because my mom was just like, really? Like, this is
Yeah.
just too
Are you for
much.
real?
"Yeah,
But yeah, and then my mom doesn't even really know what was even said. And let alone she didn't care because she knew like if it was actually an issue, like I just would have said something to her. Like I'm not gonna lie.
right,
But yeah, and then the teacher that I left the classroom, he was like, "I'm sorry about everything."
yeah." It was the A push teacher because I heard a bunch of people like it was not that day. This is kind of going out of order, but like the next day, that teach like people were talking about like this is some bullshit. Like people like what happened to Lucas, and then that teacher was like, "Hey, but we shouldn't talk about this during like in the school. Like, I think it's time for this whole podcast thing to end."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so 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 so. Anyways, so the day number this is Thursday. I'm coming back. It was middle school day, so I wore some Aeropostale, right? And I had to. Oh, by the way, I had to work on Wednesday nights, and then I had a math test and a physics test the next day, and so did Kaiser. So I'm stressed about this. I'm talking to my parents all night, and I'm at work. I can't even think, and then I barely get like I can't even like sleep, let alone study for two tests. So then I'm like, I do both the tests, and like Kaiser gets pulled out. Like I don't know what happened to Blattner, but Kaiser gets pulled out after his our math test, and then he misses the physics test because he's in the principal's office.
It was
So
in physics. That's right. Because I was gonna say I remember when because I got pulled out first, and
yeah.
then I remember looking at I looked at Kaiser and he was like, oh shit, because you were like, yeah, I've been talked to, like you guys might get talked to. So then yeah, she took me out, like they just gave me a
What? No,
pass.
because Kaiser physics was after math. So were you taken out in physics?
Yeah, because no, I got taken out like at the beginning of the hour. I came back and she was like, yo, Ben is in your class, right? Because then I was the one who told Ben. I was like, gave him the pass. I'm like, yeah,
Oh, maybe it was you
they
then.
want to see you
I thought
back.
I could have sworn I thought Kaiser got pulled out of math and then he missed the entire physics test. Or was it you who missed the entire physics test?
It was me who missed the entire
Yeah, so you
physics
have to redo
test.
an entire test another day because of
Yeah,
this.
because they pulled me out. I was like, wow. They're like, are we? Is this a bad time? And I'm like, yeah, I have a physics test. And they're like, okay, well, we want to talk to you about some stuff. Like they didn't care.
Yeah, and
So
I don't know
I
what
had to
happened to
go
Blattner, but I'm
make
sure
it
that
up.
she said the same thing to all three of you.
No, which like that was kind of dumb because it
So
was
what was
like
the kind of stuff she was saying to you?
I mean
Because
like
yours was like,
on behalf of like Ben and Lucas, they basically were just like, yo, like, I don't really think the boss would appreciate like the stuff that you guys were talking about him, and I don't think that like she
Do
named our
they
boss.
even know who the
She named
boss?
our boss at the
because
pool
we talked about him on the.
because
Oh,
She's like,
I thought
so
you were talking about the boss as in Lucas' dad.
no, we are. So we talked.
Oh.
We
yeah,
called
we
him the
talked
boss
about
on
the
the
boss.
podcast.
We never
She's
said
like, so what about this? The boss. What about this
yeah.
guy? Do
No,
you think he would be okay if we're talking about him? Like, what about this pool that they all work at? Do you think it's like, why do you look into so
like
much
because
shit like
yeah,
this?
basically like for all three of us, she just was like, you guys really shouldn't be like talking about your job like this because there's probably some like if I were to send this to your boss, like she named her,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of like, well, I guess yeah, that probably wasn't the best decision, and like I understand why you're taking me out. She's like, there is one comment that I want to talk to you about though,
Really.
and it was about
This
fucking bro.
the
Oh
stupidest.
shit, I can't say that.
Okay, I'll bleep it out.
Okay.
So the stupidest fucking
About
kid you've ever met?
this kid, bro. He was just giving us such a pain in the ass, and this is like my third time dealing with this kid because he would come to the pool all the time, and I was like his supervisor for a safety camp at the high school. Like I was just volunteered by my work to do that.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, I was just in charge of this group of kids. The like dad that I was supposed to be doing it with, he was just like gone for like 2/3 of the time. So it was just me, like a 16-year-old kid. I was 15 with just a bunch of children, and we had a blast. But this kid, like he tried to drown a girl.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, you got to get out. And then so they didn't kick his sister out because she was fine. So then he's like, oh, like I have to wait for my sister. So then he was just standing in like the front of the lobby and shit. But
Right. And you told the story pretty much exactly like that on the
yeah,
podcast.
literally the
And it's
same.
not you didn't say his
Like
name either. So
I didn't. She just was mad because it was like you really shouldn't call children, like younger children than even you, the dumbest fucking person you ever met. Like, that's a really rude comment. I don't think you should talk about your patrons like that. That would be a really
well,
bad look for
it's
the
almost
pool.
like you could have listened to the entire story and found out that he tried to fucking drown someone.
Like
So I don't know. It just kind of
he tried to draw somebody who's being disrespectful. Like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have talked shit about that. But it's
yeah,
like I know I'm no longer employed there. I don't go to this school anymore, so I'm not
yeah,
really that worried about it.
exactly. Imagine being so like I remember talking about you right after like I remember talking to you like one during one summer like we were at like a baseball game or something and I was like we should one of these days we got to talk about the whole podcast scenario. And
I
then
think
that's
it'd
why
be funny to hear like Kaiser's opinion. Cause yeah, I remember when I came in and I handed him the pass, he was like, like,
yeah.
like I could just see the like,
And
oh
I felt
fuck in
so
his
fucking
face,
bad because it's
cause
Kaiser. He's
his
so
bro,
fucking innocent,
like
bro. He would never do
everybody,
such
like
shit.
he's so nice and just like I'm like, oh god, like
And I know both his
literally
parents as well.
this is probably like the first time he's about to go to the
His
principal's
parents are probably
office. Like,
fucking like, oh, Lucas,
see,
getting my
I don't
baby
even
Kaiser.
think. Oh fuck.
Yeah, I could get a cut of that, man.
I don't even think she called my mom.
Oh, she didn't?
I just told my mom about it. I'm like, this is what happened today. And she was just like, okay. Listening to the podcast, and then she was like, okay, yeah, that was probably not the smartest decision.
Yeah.
But then it was like, yeah, it was just kind of that whole like, you need to be mindful of what you're like saying on the internet. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I already had went through all that shit with the meme.
Yeah.
Like
You got in trouble for that?
my mom was pissed.
You got in
No,
trouble for
I
that?
didn't get in trouble with the school for that, but
Oh.
like that was literally like that meme that I posted was probably worse than this whole scenario.
1,000,000%.
Like I literally
I was like, if she finds out about Loudmouth memes, I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
straight disrespect to like a bunch of staff members, just the school in itself, and she's mad because fuck you, Abby. That was basically like that.
Yeah.
That's all you said.
I know that she talked to at least Kaiser's mom, though, and I'm assuming she talked to the boss.
Probably.
Which is, I haven't talked to Blattner about that because Blattner is was the most mad, like, out of you three. Like, he's, like, the most, like, yeah, no, I don't even fuck with the podcast. Like, they gotta delete that shit. Like, the reason that the podcast is still not up is because Blattner said he doesn't want it to be up. And
I mean,
and you said you. Well, I mean, I guess.
I did too, but then over time I was like, okay, like if you just cut the fucking stupid kid part
Yeah.
out.
So now I want to go back and like cut shit out of the podcast.
But then it's like,
Because what is Blattner? Blattner, let's be honest, right after the podcast came out, Blattner comments on the podcast. He's like, "Hey, by the way, guys, I didn't actually pee in Kaiser's sink. That was just a joke." And then everyone is like, "Yeah, fucking bullshit." So I think that's why Blattner. I low key to this day think that's why Blattner wanted me to delete that episode, is because people were making fun of him for that. And so, anyways, well, that was the whole. That was. I know Kaiser. Uh, on Friday was when she talked to my mom and Kaiser's mom, and I was sitting by Kaiser because we were at that stupid coronation thing, and I was
What? Stupid.
wow. Actually, I'll get into that. I'll get into that later. I'll get into that later.
Shit, you can't say that.
No. I'll get into that later. So, anyways,
We worked really hard to make these things happen.
I go on the second day, right after physics, and I'm like, "What's up?" And she's like, "Hey, your hair is different than yesterday." I'm like, "Yeah." So we're just kind of chatting this shit for I pretty much pretty much didn't make any progress. I was like, "Yeah, I talked to my parents last night, and they were kind of like they're on my side, obviously." And she's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, because like obviously they know Abby, like they know I'm not bullying her, and like I'm like I even was like the end of the thing. One of the things I remember saying was like, she's like, "Well, so what is something you've learned from this?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like." No matter what you say to me right now, like I don't know if you're trying to say I'm a bad person or whatever, or no matter what you like, if I get in trouble or whatever, I know that what I didn't really wasn't doing anything wrong in this scenario, and I know I wasn't bullying. I know I'm a good person. I know my parents think I'm a good person. I know my family, the rest of my family thinks I'm a good person. I know my friends think I'm a good person. I know that Abby thinks I'm a good person. So no matter what you are trying to tell me here, like you can't tell me like I know that this is just
You can't demoralize.
I was like, this is just a
like,
case of the rules, like the technic, like in one part of the thing, like technically, like I was got caught or whatever doing something, and she's like, well, the rules aren't stupid or whatever, but like she's saying some sort of stuff like, and it's just sort of like. I don't know. I was pissed, and that's in the second day. I was kind of talking to her because we were trying to kind of chatting the shit. We were kind of like we were kind of just being friendly towards each other, even because she was like, well, if you don't like the student council so much, why don't you just join student council? I'm like, maybe I will. She's like, why don't you run for president? I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should. She's like, yeah. So
She knew she would know that there's not a president.
huh?
There's not even.
She meant like president of the United States.
Oh.
Yes, she was just like just chatting.
Oh my
She was just
God.
saying random shit. She's and one of the things she also said I forgot to say was she was talking. She had like a list of all the stuff we talked about, like written down, like on like timestamps. And I think they also like saved the video or whatever. They like downloaded the video. And so she was like, yeah, you talked about this, you talked about this, you talked about this. And then she wrote down, she was like, oh, and you say you love your mom. That's nice. And she's like, and then you said this. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I guess I want some sympathy back with that part. But she wrote it down. Another one of the
Can you
things.
imagine her like listening to this and then she's just like, oh,
Aw.
and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm gonna write that down. like, what the fuck?
That was so funny. But then she was like, one other thing I asked was like, how is it that like I'm technically breaking the rules, right? I go to the school, um, but there are people who post on like Visco. They post completely inappropriate things,
Oh,
like of them
shit.
doing like illegal activities, and like they don't get in trouble. Then like, well, when they're in Visco, like they have a name like that isn't necessarily their real name. It's like my YouTube channel name is Loudmouth. Where the fuck do you think that my real name is in there? People on Visco's name is like their name with like a hyphen in the middle of it. What the fuck kind of argument was that? I didn't even know at the time that her kids Visco was just as bad as I was talking about like other people. But whatever. Obviously, I wasn't gonna like snitch.
You think she still listens?
Who? The teacher?
Yeah.
Not a chance. She wanted me to end she's like, I think you need to like rebrand or like just like stop doing the podcast or like at least do something completely different. And at that point, I had already recorded episode 18. Like I recorded episode 18 the next day. And so I had to go back and we deleted every single name of any person in the entire episode. So it was like me, Mackenzie, and Joe.
I remember you were really pissed about that too.
Yeah,
Because you were like I had to sit there for so long and like name bleep everything out.
yeah,
Like
and I had to bleep out so much shit because also we were talking about how me and Mackenzie had beef with our ninth grade civics teacher, so I had to do a lot of editing with that. It's probably if you listen to that episode, it's probably a lot of bleeps and like just cut out parts. And then the next episode we recorded was a long time afterwards because the next month was February. We're gonna do couple, 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 couple,
mhm.
and it was a leap year, so we had actually 5 couples we were gonna do, and so we'd already done Mackenzie and Joe for like February, like whatever, first. I don't know. I guess because it'd been first, 8th, 15th, 20 fucking second, and then 29th.
Mhm.
So it'd have been each whatever. Anyways, so the next week is going to be Simon and his girlfriend at the time. The day that I come back on to school on Friday, they're like, "Yeah, we broke up, so we can't do it anymore." So then I just took that whole week off the podcast, and I deleted the other episode. So it was like a big gap with no podcast. So we finally come back. I did one with Danny and Ellie, and we are just over exaggerating. Like anytime we said anyone's name, like even if it was like a character, we would say like their initials or whatever. Like we were like Ellie would be like, "Yeah, remember that movie with like Mickey M and Donald D?" And we were just like saying shit like that.
Donald D.
Yeah, but then everyone like when I walked out of the school the first day, like a bunch of people like Danny Peters and those guys were like walking like who I don't really talk to that much. They're all like, "Hey, we reported about your podcast. Like that's some bullshit, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro, that is some bullshit." I don't know what to say. They're like, "So what's the punishments or whatever?" And I was like, "I don't know yet. I have to wait for tomorrow." So then the thing I was annoyed was we were shooting the shit the entire day with I was shooting the shit with the principal, and then she's like, "Okay, so yeah, we'll probably just have you for Saturday." So I was like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "I was like, she's like, yeah, well." I'm like, "Wait, I didn't think I was actually gonna get. I thought you were just gonna like give me advice, like trying to help me like learn from the situation." And she's like, "Well," and then she's like, still gave me the Saturday. So I was like, "What?" And I
What?
was like, "Well, can you at least talk to my parents before you like?" Because I knew my parents were gonna fucking chew her ass out, and yeah, I don't know. I think she talked to my mom. I don't think she ever talked to my dad. But I ended up going to Saturday school, obviously. And then the Friday I was in Spanish, which was my last class, and the sub was there, the Spaniard sub,
Hmm.
and I was like, I need some advice. I want to go to I want to go to this homecoming thing, but I don't really. I'm in a mood where I don't really like the school, and I'm not really in the school spirit mood. And he was like, "Well, why would then just don't go?" I'm like, "Well, my friend is up for SnoWeek, King Simon, and Linnea were up for SnoWeek, King and Queen." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to see if they win, but yeah, not." And he's like, "Oh, that's stupid. Who cares about the school? Just go, because what if they win? You're gonna be mad that you missed it." And thanks to his advice, I did go, and they both won. And then I got a banger.
I was speaking there.
I know I got a banger picture, and with both of them. And then yeah, it was. I'm very glad that I went to that. And then I went to the girls' basketball game. I think was that night, and I saw this is when me and Kale Hindershide were not on very good terms. And he was like, I don't think he said it to me, but he said it to you. He was like, "Wait, why is Lucas here? I thought he had Saturday school tomorrow." And I was like, fuck off, bro. You have no idea. You have no idea what I've just been through for this whole week." And then yeah, and then this is the whole thing because the entire week I was talking about this to everyone. They're like, I was like, I wonder who reported because the teacher's like, I don't even know, or the principal's like, I don't even know, like I couldn't tell you. I was like, wasn't it just the teacher? She's like, no, it was a student who came up and individually reported it, and I was like, oh, and so everyone was like, bro, it's Marie Houston, bro. Marie Houston reported you. I was like, really? And I was like, they're like, no, Marie Houston reported. You." I'm like, it doesn't sound like she wouldn't. I don't think she would actually do that because like me and her are like friends. So I think that, and she like it's whoever reported it doesn't know me or Abby enough to know that we're friends, and like they don't know Abby enough. Like it's either someone who's trying to simp to Abby and was like, "Oh, this dude is bullying her," but they don't know her enough to know that we're friends and that she wouldn't even care about it even if we weren't. Or it's
It had
someone.
to have been the teacher though, because like it happened like right after like she found. Well, not like right after, but
I'm gonna cut this out. Everyone was apparently saying now that it was.
really.
That's what people were just saying. but I don't know. That's just a rumor. But everyone was like, "It's Maria Houston, Maria Houston." I'm like, I don't think. So then when I was leaving the basketball game, obviously I was having a shitty time because the whole week was bad, and I was like, "There's a SnoWeek dance afterwards," and Maria like ran out as I was walking out and was like, "Lucas, Lucas, Lucas." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Hey, I just want to tell you. I know everyone's telling you that I reported you. I just want you to know that I would never do that." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, I thought you wouldn't do it." So she was like, "Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I wouldn't have. I thought it was funny, so like I just want you to make sure that you knew that like
She's just like,
I was
just don't hate me, please.
yeah no 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 but I can understand why she it was like if she actually did it then she wouldn't have come up to me and like said that.
Yeah,
So
no, she would have just ran and hate.
she would have just been like, oh, Lucas doesn't know, but like because obviously whoever actually did report it still hasn't told me that they did it. So then like Marie like I
Well,
didn't
like
think
you
she did
could
it.
technically say it was me because like I was showing them the
Yeah.
videos, but like I wasn't thinking like they were gonna freak out about it, you know?
Right.
Well, no, they didn't.
I mean,
Well,
cause
no one did
like,
at the
really, at
moment.
the time, it was just like, yo, like you were doing this like really cool project, and everyone was like, yo, this is like kind of funny, like,
Yeah.
like Lucas
But
Hansen has a podcast.
also, Maria also was like I was walking and she's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going home." She's like, "Why aren't you going to the dance?" I'm like, "No, that's stupid." She's like, and she tried to get me. She was like, "Oh, I think you would have fun at the dance." Like, I'm like, "Nah, I don't really want." She's like, "Oh, okay, well, if you like came to the dance, I'm sure you'd have a fun time." So, and so I just want to say in that like to clarify to everyone, Maria Houston did not report the podcast, episode 17, and she was also very nice to me in that moment. So when you said we have to mention her, you were like, oh, we should talk about that one person everyone thinks it is. I was like, I was gonna mention that thing that Maria said because it was very nice. I thought.
Hmm.
But now Maria will listen to this podcast and be like, they're talking about me. Oh my god. Like, so I hope Maria, if you're listening to this, that I gave your side of the story correctly, and if not, I'm sorry. But that is what I remember happening. Anyways, so that was pretty much another story for me. I went to Saturday school, and it was very like everyone who was with me was in for vaping on the bus. Everyone, it was
Oh wait,
everyone's
was that
list
the same week that like they went through like the whole bus, and
must have
because
been.
they went through like all the cameras and they were like, you're vaping on the bus, you're vaping on the bus, you're vaping, and then like I remember a bunch of kids were so pissed because they were like, dude, they checked the cameras.
Yeah, but I remember just chatting outside. They're like, "What are you in for?"
What are
Yeah,
you in
it was
for?
like
What are you
it was like
in for?
everyone had their like little sheet. It was like vaping on the bus, vaping on the bus, vaping on the bus. Mine was like cyberbullying, and then there was also one other person. Get this. Remember the kid? We talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. Remember the kid that like hacked the bells to make them ring earlier or whatever?
Yes.
He was in this Saturday school at the same time as me. They wrote on his thing cyber terrorism. They wrote that on his thing. And I was like, so it was a bunch of people vaping on the bus, cyberbullying, and cyber terrorism in a Saturday school. They had a bunch of pamphlets for all of us to read. We could do homework, and they had pamphlets where we could read, where you had to like do this homework where it was like pamphlets. You had to do a worksheet based off of a pamphlet that was about like drinking and driving and stuff. And I was like, I wonder if they actually read these things. I was like, and I wrote like this whole fake story. Like one of my friends, he's like a serious drinker, and he drives all the time. Like I'm worried for him. I don't know if anyone will. And like I wrote my name on the top too, and they never reached out to me. So they clearly don't care about the actual problems with the school. Because otherwise, I would have been like, "Holy shit, we gotta save this person. We gotta talk to Lucas Hansen about this."
No,
But I never did.
What
no.
happens if you? What would you do if they did
Well,
call
they
you in
did.
though?
You were just like, oh,
Then I've just been like, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. But this is the worst.
What? This is the worst excuse.
What do you mean?
Because then they would have started pressure. They would have like, okay, like let's get you into like just
No,
counselors
what
and
I would
stuff,
say is what I would say is if I don't know what to say to him, what I don't want he would never talk to you guys about it. He would be mad at me. So, what would you want me to say to them so to help them? Because otherwise they wouldn't like.
I would have just
You know
told
what I mean?
I would have just told the truth and been like, oh, honestly, I was just like
I
seeing
was just fucking with you.
if you guys were gonna care or not. Like this isn't happening. I just wanted to know if anyone was gonna reach out.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't put my name on it. I don't
That would have
remember.
been funny because then it would have been like, oh, now he's mad. He's trying to find a way to get back at this school.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that so we had this like sort of assignment for a push that we had to do, and and the teacher like the principal was like, you got to talk to this next. Sometime you're gonna have to have time to talk to this teacher. And so then I was like, I was thinking about this later, and it's like, in what case where someone gets in trouble, like if someone gets in trouble for like beating up a kid, when would they ever talk to teachers about it? Why is that necessary? Like they showed this to so many teachers, and it wasn't like I don't know. Doesn't that seem like a waste of time? Like for me, like why are they talking to like my teachers about some random thing? Like if I was like
uh,
if people are like getting caught vaping on the bus, it's not like they're gonna talk to the teachers of the thing. Like
Maybe
what?
it's because it's more like morale than like
I
physical.
guess. But like have you ever heard of like like someone getting in trouble for something and then like they investigate and like talk to teachers? I don't know. I feel like that was a waste of time. Anyways,
I feel like it was just it was only like the Mackenzie incident
what do you
when
mean?
y'all snuck her on stage.
I didn't do that, but
Well, yeah, I know,
I was
but then
there.
it was like this whole
Did they
thing
talk to
because
teachers about that?
because then
Okay.
they
Well, they
talked
talked to
to
relevant teachers about it.
yeah
Yeah, but
because
yeah, none of the
no
teachers are
they
relevant.
talked to some of her teachers because they're like, what do you notice any behavior out of them?
Oh,
And
okay.
they all were like, no, she's like a fantastic
Maybe
student.
they
Like,
do
why
that
are
with
you
when people who
freaking
are
out?
like in the like upper classes who like don't have any offenses. They're like, what is up with this one? Why are they doing this? So,
Well, I don't.
but what I will say, they did talk to the my first hour teacher because they were like, so you've let him into the class without him having an attendance slip 4 times,
Oh my
and
gosh,
he
that
never he
sucks.
never talked to me about that. But I was like, okay,
I just feel bad for him because, like,
I don't want him to get in trouble.
yeah,
I was like, oh god. So, anyways,
that sucks
the
actually.
one of the last parts of the
Oh,
story was when I was talking to
oh, he's such a sweet
I
man. Like,
know.
yeah,
oh,
they showed it to the podcast to him, and he didn't say anything to me about it because he's a fucking legend. But the teacher, the A push teacher, like he was like so yeah. So I think we got to talk about this whole thing with Miss or shit the principal. And I was like yeah okay, and so I was like what what do you think about that? And he's like I just think that you know this kind of thing like you never know what's going on in someone's day. So when you're bullying people, like, and I was like, all right, whatever. So he one of the worst thing that he said was like that was like so, but like you might not think it's a big deal, but like people have killed themselves over less than that, and it's like, okay, why are you saying that to me? Like you act like I don't know,
should we
Abby.
give you
Like,
like a doctor assessment? Like, how
and
are
it
you
was like,
feeling?
and it's like, why would you even put that fucking thought into my brain? Like you like that just
I
makes
mean,
me.
I guess
That's so like
yeah, it is something to keep in mind, but also like
but if it's someone who I don't know, that's when people like you bully someone you don't know. Like I would like obviously I don't obviously I don't think I'm really bullying anyone, but like if I'm joking about someone, it's someone who I'm friends with, and I always like don't want to make them like.
I mean, obviously
But I know Abby, so I was like, why would you even like
the
say
school. I
that?
mean, because the school takes everything you say like way too seriously. Like, I mean that I said some stuff to a teacher one time, and they took it like really seriously. I was like, oh, I was like trying to be sarcastic, and they were like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like that's
but like also these other peoples who've been in other incidents and stuff like that, it seems like they always like take it way too seriously because at the end of the day there's going to be like a parent or something. They're like, why wasn't I aware that this was happening?
why wasn't I
Why
aware
weren't
that
you
they were
taking
getting bullied?
action? Why weren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Like, because now you know yeah, now my child's in the hospital because they tried to commit suicide,
Okay.
and like that makes sense why they take it that far, but at the same time, like literally they came and checked in with you and they were like, "How are you doing?" Like, and
But
you're
and
like, "I don't care." Like, this is really weird. Like, what? Like,
and like they I don't know, I feel like after that amount of research they should just be like, yeah, maybe this case we're just this was not one of the cases that
Yeah.
is like we needed to investigate. But like I don't know that just really. And then he was like, "Yeah, I listened to that podcast and like my like thought of you dropped like my what am I thinking of here? What word am I thinking of? Like
My like respect of
yeah,
you.
like my like respect for you dropped like that. It's like well, that's cool because you listened to like a 1 minute out of context thing about me saying something. So
Oh,
thanks. So
some censor bars up there.
so yeah. But anyways, then the reason that this has to do with Decades Project is because then at conferences, that teacher was like, "Yeah, I don't know about this whole like it like I don't know if he's gonna be able to get his like because we had this test at the beginning of second semester that was really hard. Everyone did bad on. He was like, I don't know if Lucas can get his grades up and like honestly like there's the Decades Project, but like with that group of guys that he's with, like are they even gonna do it? And like he's probably not even gonna pass the AP test at this rate. And it's like what? And then Burrow was failing the class because he didn't do any work, and he's like, oh yeah. No, I have full respect for like I know he's gonna get the grade back up. He's a good kid. So it's like at one point it's like you could say, "Oh, I lose respect for you." It's like, "Oh, just then don't like talk to me
Well,
in
it's
class
like,
or like
but
don't."
it's like, why is he saying that? Because he heard you say the F word? Like,
Yeah, like, but he was like, but I don't know, like that. It's not like I was out of the blue. Like it's not like the first semester I was fine.
yeah.
So and every so that's why my mom was kind of pissed at me. Like she's like, "Yeah, the conferences with that teacher didn't go very well. Like what is wrong with your grade?" I'm like, "I'm telling you, like you got to trust me." And then obviously, like I passed the AP test.
Hmm.
And first of all, that's where I know he's kind of pulling bullshit out of his ass because my group for the Decades Project was 3 guys and 3 girls. So what is he even trying to say? So he's just bullshit. Like so he's bullshit. I gotta say this like for
I
people who are
have,
taking a push, like the teacher is good, like he's a good teacher, and honestly, like this whole thing, like it like I can understand like out of context when they showed him this out of context, like why he would be pissed, like and why he would maybe like lose respect for me. I could completely understand that. That's the fault of the school, not really him. It's not fair like they just randomly are like you who has nothing to do with the situation. You should have an opinion of this. You need to talk to the student, even though you're not involved in the scenario at all. So I kind of feel bad for him where he's thrust to like, oh, now I gotta like discipline the student for something that doesn't relate to me at all. Like, you know what I mean? So like in that case, he was like, it's not as bad. But that teacher, if that teacher's ever giving you a hard time like about the class and being like, because I remember the first week he was like, yeah, you might have to quit your job because like this class is your job now. Like you're gonna get college credit for it at the end of the thing. It's like no, just that teacher is full of shit sometimes. So just keep that in mind. But
I regret taking that class.
yeah,
Look,
because
he's a
like
really good teacher. I feel like, but I mean, like me and him had issues because yeah, I slacked off all year. I was like, I don't want to do this stupid class. I wish I would have dropped it. And he was just like, well, you're stuck with me now, buddy. Like,
yeah,
but like, so he was like, he was still a good teacher because he like would help me out if I needed shit, and like the way he like taught his the way he teaches the class is really good, but there's just some things that I just don't I don't respect the way he does certain things, and I mean I guess that's one example
like
of
I don't
like
understand why
like
but like
it was like I lost all my respect for you, like all of it gone, and then like months later at student conferences he was, or wait, was that months
it
later?
was like yeah, because it was like halfway through the semester, so it must have been like
So yeah, why was it like he was like she shat on you then?
yeah,
Which I mean, he kind of did the same thing for me too. Because my mom, when she went first student conferences, she was like, "I don't like what the fuck is up with this dude."
yeah,
And then, like, I mean, I've had there are behind the scenes shit with him, but like, he still like. It was just like, yeah, he's like, I don't have respect for you. I don't have respect. It was like, it was gone, and I wasn't gonna get it back. Like,
yeah,
which I don't feel like you shouldn't probably do that to like an unstable high school student, or if
yeah,
you think that they're unstable, because they clearly thought that you were
yeah. But
unstable,
it's
and you were
like
like, what?
that's where it's like if that why are they putting so much respect on Abby? Like they like so we're Lucas is bullying her. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this whole big deal out of this thing. And what does that do? It all goes back to her. Everyone is like, a bunch of people still to this day think that Abby like reported the podcast and like got me in trouble, and like they all like people like got mad at her for like it's like the school has done way much more damage to her than I ever have. Like even that one situation where the principal's like, "Hey, can you come on the class?" Everyone going, "Huh." That's more like embarrassment than she ever got for me saying, "What were you thinking on the podcast?"
Mm.
So that's where I was like, I don't understand that. But like my thing with that teacher was like, I don't understand what that class. It's like you have to get good grades because you got to get into a good college. But like, if you get into a really good college, they don't accept the credits for that.
Hmm.
So
My school didn't.
So what are you trying to do? Because I go to a kind of a shittier, like not as good school, but I get the credits and I didn't like quit my job to fucking take your stupid ass class.
Mhm.
So it's like there's some point where it's like, is there a point in the middle where like, oh, I get to go to this really good school because of my grades, and then also I get to keep my money from college. That's my job that I took this class for. It's like
Mhm.
I don't understand that whole logic. So like if you're in an AP class, just like try to pass the class if you're going for like a good school, like you don't need to quit your fucking job because you're obviously gonna need the money to pay for it. So that I don't understand that logic at all. And but if like I don't know if I don't know what obviously my perspective is different because I don't really care about the kind of school I go to. I just care about like trying my best and
Just
like
getting the
getting the shit done.
education
Yeah.
itself.
Obviously I got good grades back then in high school, but that's whatever. Anyways, real quick, by the way, at the end of this episode, this is Lucas in the future editing. I just have to mention that the reason that I'm still like, we still want to talk about this, and that I still care is because I got not allowed into NHS, National Honor Society, after this whole thing happened because I had a Saturday school on my record. And so I could have easily lost out on like scholarships or money for college because of this one stupid joke. And not only that, but like some of my friends like Jack Dunn were like, yeah, Lucas, if you get suspended, then, and Carl, they're like, if you get suspended, I don't want to be on the podcast anymore. Can you delete the episodes with me on it? Understandably, because they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want the same thing to happen to them. So then if Abby would have said, like, yeah, I want Lucas to be suspended, then the podcast would have ended. So if you think about it, this whole podcast still existing is all Abby's fault. So also thanks to Joe McKenzie, Danny Ellie for still doing being the first ones after this whole thing, this whole incident to be on the podcast again and really being on my side. That was nice. And also all you motherfuckers who are making jokes about me when this thing happened. You just know that I could have easily reported you to the principal and gotten you the same punishment as me. So yeah. All right. Sorry for this episode being so long. That's just how it be sometimes. All right. See you next week. I think that pretty much wraps everything up.
Yep.
This is this is probably the longest podcast
It
I've ever
probably
done.
is. I was thinking about that. I was like pushing
We-
over 2 hours.
We've got to. I got to cut some shit out though. With that whole like Rambo shit.
I feel like we might have talked in circles a little bit about some stuff, but
Yeah. Well, whatever.
yeah.
Anyways.
Thank you if you made it this far, congratulations, or have a good night. I'll fallen asleep to a few of your podcasts. Because
I like that. I fuck with that.
There's no ads on them, so I don't get interrupted every 7 fucking minutes. It's fucking incredible. I can just listen to the voices and drift off.
But what I will say is, let's to end this episode on a serious note, so that don't harass or call out any of the teachers or principals that we were talking about. If you still go to the school, because they probably don't remember this whole thing, and maybe they were just having a bad week and like didn't really understand the whole situation. Obviously, that wasn't a good moment for me. So I'd like to offer the same respect that I wish they gave me back to them, where maybe this is just an out of context moment for them and they didn't really this is just something they didn't understand. So, and obviously like they're not like actively this day like trying to do shit to me. And I've seen both of them in the halls a couple times, like seeing senior year after this happened, and they were like chill to me. So yeah, that's all I wanted to make sure that I said, because like even though I'm not trying to say that because like, oh, I don't want to get like Henry and Chloe in trouble or whatever. I don't want them to like be hated by this teacher. It's like it's also just cringe if like some like random student was like, oh, I listened to this random podcast and I heard that you were being mean to this kid like 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever it was. So that's all I wanted to say. Probably wouldn't. I know people who listen to this probably wouldn't do that anyways, but I just wanted to make sure that nothing bad happens because that'd just be cringe.
I got brothers in school too. Like,
And I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to delete another podcast that ends with 17.
This episode might be banned.
All right. Well, anything you needed to say, Abby?
Nope. Bye,
Go ahead.
guys.
Can I just like breathe into the mic?
Yeah.